Today we got a story time of a kid who claims that he saw an Enderman in real life. Leave a like in the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in today's story, we're going to call him Billy. Anyways, right, one day Billy was in class when this kid ran up to him. We're going to call this kid Brian, and Brian is the Minecraft kid in this story. Brian runs up to him as they're ending class. Brian is completely late that day. The teacher looks at Brian and he's like, Brian, where were you today? And Brian's like, I'm sorry, Mr. Davenport. That's just a name we'll say. I'm sorry, Mr. Davenport. Like, I won't do it again. I won't be late again. And he just goes up to Billy. He's like, Billy, you won't believe what I saw today. And, Billy's just looking at Brian like, dude, calm down. Like, relax. What? Like, what did you see? And Brian just looks at Billy. He's like, Billy, you're not going to believe me, man. You're not going to believe me. And Billy's like, chill out. Just tell me what you saw and we'll figure this out together. And Brian just looks at Billy and he's like, I don't know how to say it, man, but and, Billy looks at him. He's like, dude, just spit it out. Like, you're good. Like, don't worry about it. Like, I'm not going to judge you. I just want to hear what you have to say. Like, I know that you're obviously pretty distressed right now, and there's probably a reason why you're late today. And, eventually Brian's like, fine, you're going to laugh at me, but just listen to me. He's like, Billy? And Billy looks at him. Yes, Brian? Billy? I saw an Enderman today. And Billy just kind of gives him this look of like, bro. For a second, Billy was like, all right, this guy's trying to prank me. Like, he's gone a long way to, like, do this prank. Like, he's late for class. He's, like, putting on a really good act. And then Billy's starting to realize that it's actually more likely that he's not trying to prank him and he just saw something that he thought was an Enderman. And, Brian's like, dude, you have to believe me on this one. And Billy's like, Brian, Endermen aren't real. Why would I believe you? And Brian's like, dude, I saw it. Like, why do you think I'm so freaked out? Why do you think I was late today? And Billy's like, all right, relax. Calm down, chill out, you're good. Like, let's just talk about this rationally. And Brian's like, I don't want to talk about it rationally. You know what? At this point, right, a lot of kids have started to, like, stop because, like, the class was over by the time that Brian came in practically. And kids were leaving the room. However, Brian and Billy were kind of yelling at each other. And so some of the kids were stopping, so they're kind of making a circle around the two. And Brian was like, you know what? Anyone who doesn't believe me, tomorrow I will take you to the spot where I saw the Enderman, and I will prove it to you. I will prove it that he is real. And, Billy's like, all right, like, okay, sure, Brian, that's cool. Yeah, show me this Enderman. Yeah, sure, okay. So Brian then goes on to say, he says, you know what? Actually, today, after school, if you want to see the Enderman with me, wait, like, don't get picked up by your parents. Tell them you have to wait a little bit longer, and we're going to walk to the park where I saw it, all of us, so that you can bear witness to what I saw. Anyone who doesn't want to come, don't stay after school, but if you do, stay after school. I'll be here to any of you guys who aren't too scared. At this point, right, Billy's like, all right, like, I got nothing better to do. I'm not trying to do my homework. And, like, there are definitely some other kids that were going to show up. So Billy's like, you know what? Whatever. I'll spend an hour out of my afternoon. That's fine. So later at lunch, Billy was eating, and sure enough, Brian comes up to him. And in Billy's mind, he's like, all right, so Brian's definitely like, he's either telling me that he was overreacting, or he's pulling the plug of the prank, which this is obviously a prank. And sure enough, right, Brian comes up to Billy, and, Billy's just looking at him, kind of waiting for whatever response he has, that's coming. And Brian looks at Billy, square in his eyes and says, I just want to make sure you're mentally prepared for what you're about to see later today. And Billy was a little taken aback because he was sure. He was like 95% confident that Brian was coming to, like, confess to him that he made the whole thing up and that he doesn't actually want, like, people to wait after school. But no, sure enough, Brian was doubling down on his claims that he actually saw an Enderman and that they're real or whatever. And Billy's like, all right, like, okay, man, I'm sure. I won't be too scared. Don't worry about me. I'm not the one you need to worry about here. And Brian's like, all right, good. I just, I couldn't, morally rest if I didn't prepare you for what you're about to see. And Billy just kind of gave him this look of like, all right, dude, sure. Go, like, fine, all right, challenge accepted, man, like, okay, that's fine. And sure enough, right after school, Billy's waiting there with about like 4 or 5 other kids that, overheard the situation, overheard Brian say stay after school to see the Enderman, and also were in the same boat as Billy as not believing Brian at all, but also having nothing better to do. And, eventually, Brian gets there and he's like, all right, so we got, 5 brave people willing to, see what I saw today. He's like, you guys are going to seem so foolish. Like, you guys are going to just, like, forget. He said, you know what? Don't beg for forgiveness right away. Wait until we leave. Wait until we're safely away from the Enderman. We don't want to, like, I don't know, aggravate it or something. So just, beg for forgiveness later, not when we're there. Please. And Billy just looks at him like, dang, this kid's confident. Like, all right, man. I promise I will not beg for forgiveness there. I got you, bro. I got you on that one. And with that being said, they start to walk towards the park. The Enderman Park or whatever, like Brian was trying to say, right? Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment Enderman down below. I'm going to heart a bunch of comments to say Enderman. I can't heart all the comments, but I will do my very best to heart as many as I can. And also, if you want to submit stories like this and be featured on the channel, my Instagram is Pugs. It's in the description if you want to see how that's spelled. Also, feel free to follow me there, even if you're not going to submit a story. I like followers. It makes me look cool. Anyways, right, eventually, Billy, Brian, and the 4 other kids, they're walking over to the park. And Brian is like, all right, real quick, Enderman 101, we got to go over the procedure. Billy just gives him a look like, bro, are you serious? And Brian's like, while I don't know this for a fact, I'm going to assume that Endermen function very similarly in real life to as they function in Minecraft. So whatever you do, and he like stops walking to make this point. Like he stops in his tracks to like to make this point as poignant as possible. Whatever you do, Brian continues, do not look the Enderman in the eyes directly. If you do, they're gonna come and destroy us all. Like we don't have a shot against an Enderman. We're not in diamond armor. We're not in nothing, right? And Billy's just like, once again, he's kind of laughing. He's just like, bro, dude, that's fine. I got you. This Enderman we're gonna see, right? All right, I won't look it in the eyes. Now let's see this Enderman. And Brian's like, all right, I feel like I prepared you guys, properly for this. Just realize that, if we don't make it back, or if only one of us or a few of us makes it back, we need to tell our respective parents that, the ones that did not make it back love them. And Billy was like, dude, come on. Like, first of all, there's no Enderman. Let's keep it a stack. I don't know what you're going to show us, but there's no Enderman. Second of all, bro, stop being over dramatic here. But anyways, right, Billy's like, all right, man. All right, let's see the Enderman. And Brian's like, all right, moment of truth. This is what you guys have been waiting for. Because they eventually, when he says that, they reach like the gate of the park. And Brian was like, earlier today, yeah, I was supposed to be in class, but I wasn't really feeling it. So I decided to go walk in the park. I just need to clear my mind. And while I was walking, like I saw in the corner of my eye this big, long, dark figure that was buzzing, and it looked like an Enderman, man. I could hear it. I could hear it zipping around. I could feel its presence, and I just got out of there as quickly as possible. And I just ran directly back to school. I mean, it was like a 20-minute run, too, and I got to class late, but I know what I saw, and you're going to see it, too. At this point, like Billy's like, so you didn't even get a good look at it? And Brian turned to him and said, Billy, if I got a good look at it, I wouldn't be standing here right now, because the first rule of Enderman contact is if you stare at it, you're a goner. Did you not hear what I said just a second ago? And Billy's like, all right, Brian, okay, I got you. So eventually they get to the park. Billy, Brian, and the other 4 walk in, and Brian just stops. And he's like visibly very scared. And Billy looks at him, he's like, Brian, what is it now? And Brian's like, I see it. I see it in the corner of my eye. Nobody look. Nobody turn their heads. Don't do it. You'll all perish. And Brian, like, legitimately was very scared at this point. But Billy, you know what? He was like, you know what? I'm going to take the risk. If there's actually an Enderman there, well, that's unlucky for me. But I'm going to make the assumption that there's not. And sure enough, right, Billy turns his head, and what does he see? He sees a tall, lanky, darkish tree. Billy just turns around and he says, Brian, there's no Enderman there. He's like, dude, what did I say about looking? And Billy's like, dude, you can look. He's like, I don't trust you. And Billy is a little like hurt by that. He's like, you don't trust me? Like, I literally just looked there. So Billy put both of his arms on Brian, forcibly turned him around. And Brian was like, ah. And then his like scream was cut short as he realized that there was nothing there but a tree. And Brian was like, oh, my fault. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like in the video, then click on one of the 4 videos you see on screen right now to support the channel. Thank you. Today we got a story time of a Minecraft kid who thought Endermen were real and did a presentation on them in front of everyone in class. The teacher's reaction to this was actually hilarious. Leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in today's story, we're going to call him Ethan. I got that name from the comment section. Anyways, right, so Ethan, he was in 2nd grade, and his class was doing a presentation on any animal of their choice from the prehistoric era. So that means, I don't know, you got your dinosaurs, you got your whatever, right? Any kind of like dinosaur type animal. And the thing was, right, the teacher probably made a bit of a mistake because the teacher did not vet like what animal you chose. Obviously, like the teacher taught an entire unit on like dinosaurs and pterodactyls, all those types of animals, right? And you know, he kind of just at the end of the unit, he wanted to have kind of like a fun presentation type thing where you would choose an animal and then you would go ahead and do your own research. This was like the first kind of project that these kids ever had where they had to, you know, go ahead and do their own research online. You know, this was very recent. So, you know, this wasn't many years ago when online was a lot harder and a lot more, you know, obscure. And they had access to computers at the library during class period for, you know, the next couple class periods. Or they could also do research at home, but if they didn't have access to a computer at home, they had access to one at the library. But anyways, right, the teacher did not vet which animals they chose. And there was a kid in Ethan's class, and he was the Minecraft kid. He did nothing but play Minecraft all day. And bro, I'm just saying Minecraft is not a bad game at all. I mean, look at the gameplay I have in the background of this video. The game is obviously fire. And the Minecraft kid, we're going to call him Jeff. Also got that name from the comment section, so leave a name you want me to use in the comments down below. But anyways, right, Jeff played a lot of Minecraft. And the thing was, right, Jeff believed that a lot of what was in Minecraft was actually real. I don't know about you, but for a little bit of time, I believed that dragons really did exist because I would hear about knights, I would hear about like medieval castles, which I knew also existed, and then I heard about dragons, and I just thought that they went extinct. So hey man, I don't really blame Jeff, like especially since he was in 2nd grade, he was playing Minecraft, and in Minecraft there are skeletons. Skeletons really do exist. There are cows, there are chickens, and there also happen to be Endermen. He just thought Endermen existed at a, you know, an earlier time, and that they were like existed in the prehistoric era, and that they must have went extinct with the dinosaurs. And the thing is, right, Ethan, the subscriber, wouldn't have known this before the fact, except for the fact that the teacher, you know, had, you know, a couple days before that they were done with the presentations, the teacher, you know, decided to mix things up and have them get into small groups. And he kind of said the names randomly, and, you know, the names happened to be Ethan, Jeff, you two are in a group. So Ethan and Jeff, you know, Ethan the subscriber and Jeff the Minecraft kid, they both go off to a table and they sit down, and the instructions were basically to talk about the animal or the dinosaur animal, whatever you chose, and just kind of like, I don't know, say what you've done so far, talk about what you want to do, and kind of just have a little conversation. Anyways, right, so Ethan and Jeff, they go around, they sit in the group, and then they start talking. And Ethan is the first one to talk, and he's doing, I don't know, a pterodactyl or something. And look, man, it's been a while since I've done my prehistoric history, so I can't tell you any specific details. But Ethan essentially explains the details he's learned so far, says what else he wants to learn, and then kind of explains how he's going to do his presentation. And anyways, right, Jeff starts talking about, you know, the dinosaur or the animal from the prehistoric period that he wanted to cover. And, you know, as Ethan was sitting there listening to what Jeff was saying, you know, he was kind of like doing a double take, bro. Like Ethan was looking at Jeff like, did this kid just say what I thought he said? Because Jeff said, so I'm doing the Enderman and these things about, and then starts to list off information that he probably got from like Minecraft Wiki. Because like the thing is, dude, you can go on and, you know, the information you're supposed to get online, and like he probably looked up Enderman facts and got it from the Minecraft Wiki. By the way, I used to be on the Minecraft Wiki like for like 6 hours a day when I was like in 5th grade, bro. Like that was my place. But anyways, right? Ethan was just looking at him and he's like, Jeff, are you sure you can do that? And Jeff looks at him like, yeah, don't worry, I'm sure. Like, just no question about it. Like, yeah, no, of course. What are you even talking about? And so Ethan kind of looks at Jeff and is like, all right, bro, like, fair enough, I guess. Like, that's fine. Fair enough. Like, okay, sure. And Ethan in his head is just like, all right, this kid is going to get absolutely destroyed if he does a presentation on this in front of everyone. Like, no shot he's actually going to do it. Like, he has to be bluffing. He has to be bluffing, man. And anyways, right, sure enough, the time comes. Let's just skip right towards the day of the presentation, because that's when stuff gets really juicy. So the day of the presentation is when everything goes down, and basically it hits the fan, if you know what I mean. Real quick, though, if you made it this far into the video, comment Enderman down below. I'm going to try and heart a bunch of people that comment Enderman, but honestly, I've just been struggling to heart everyone's comments. So if you want a better chance of getting a heart, comment it like 3 to 4 times down below. And even if you don't get a heart, just know I still do appreciate you watching this far. I'm just kind of busy. And also, if you do want to send in a story, send it to my Instagram, which is on screen, or just follow me there, because like that would be nice. Anyways, let's get to the actual day. What is going to happen when Jeff does a presentation on Enderman in front of the entire class? And this is like a very big part of his grade, by the way. This is like the big final assessment. But anyways, right, today's the day. Today's the day of the presentations. Everyone's sitting there. They're all kind of nervous because like this is kind of like a big deal. So Ethan is not really thinking about Jeff and his Enderman presentation at all because he has to think about his own. And people are going up there. And some people have a little poster, some people have like a very simple slideshow. Remember, this is 2nd grade. No one's doing anything crazy. No one's coming in with like a 50-page research paper, you know, that was confirmed by like a PhD board. Like, no. This very simple stuff, but obviously when you're in 2nd grade, this simple stuff takes you a long time and you feel pretty proud of it. But eventually, Ethan hears his name getting called. And Ethan goes up there. Ethan has like a 3-point slideshow with photos and a bunch of bullet points. And by the end of Ethan's presentation, you know, everyone's clapping. The teacher's a big smile on his face. And Ethan's feeling good. And Ethan has this like feeling of like, oh man, like I feel so good, man, because like the thing is, this was like the last big presentation or the last big thing they had to do for the entire year. So Ethan was low-key done. It was like the feeling when you have like a big exam and you're just done with it and you know you're just done. And it's basically going to be fun stuff and then summertime, which means there's more fun stuff. So Ethan was sitting there feeling really good. Like life is this good right now. And he starts to like think and he's like, wait a minute. Jeff hasn't gone yet. I wonder if he does that Enderman presentation. That would be, he's not going to do that, man. Ethan's kind of sitting there, kind of like, he's still on that happy high, and he's like, oh, that's so funny, man. Like, no shot he actually does that. And eventually he's sitting there, and it's Jeff's turn to go up, and he watched Jeff walk up. And Jeff was doing a slideshow presentation, so Ethan's like, no way he actually does a presentation on Enderman. Right? And sure enough, right, you know, Ethan's sitting there, and Jeff goes up to the board, gets up his presentation, and he opens up the first slide, and there's a photo, a screenshot from Minecraft of Enderman, and there's a big title saying Enderman. Where did they come from? What are their characteristics? And Jeff just starts talking, man. He's like, all right, so I'm doing the Enderman. And so the Enderman starts going on about information. And Ethan immediately looks around the class. And everyone's faces are just like in complete shock. Because like, okay, some people didn't actually know what Endermen were. Some like, I don't know, some people didn't play Minecraft. But a lot of people at this point were very aware what Endermen were. And they were also quite aware that, dude, these are video game creatures. And the thing is, right, in a lot of cases, the teacher just wouldn't know what this was. However, the teacher had a son who was like, I don't know, 7 years old, significantly younger than the kids here. And the teacher would play Minecraft with his son, which honestly sounds really sick. When I'm a dad, I'm definitely going to be playing, so I'm going to be rocking some Minecraft with my kids. Like, I don't care, even if they don't want to, they're playing Minecraft with me. No question about it. No, I'm just kidding. But, the teacher knew what an Enderman was because he played Minecraft with his son. So the teacher's just looking at, like, Jeff with this kind of look of complete confusion. And, Jeff is like, switches to the next slide, and he's like, all right, so here's some fun facts about the Endermen. So they actually have an ability to teleport, and everyone at this point, like, some of the girls are just laughing, because, like, even if they don't know what Minecraft is, when they hear, like, this big creature can teleport, they're like, bro, what? What are you saying? And anyways, so the teacher's, like, interrupts him. He's like, Jeff, what are you doing? And Jeff just has this, like, is really thrown off guard. And Jeff just looks at the teacher like, what do you mean? I'm doing my presentation. And, the teacher is starting to realize that Jeff is not trying to be some funny guy here. And the teacher's just like, Jeff, we have to do a presentation on a creature from the prehistoric period. And Jeff's like, yeah, I'm doing a presentation on a creature that went extinct and was probably around during the prehistoric period. And the teacher has the most interesting reaction. The teacher says, okay, continue on. Which some of you guys might have been thinking, oh, the teacher's definitely going to clown on this guy. However, right, the teacher just lets him go. And Ethan is, like, completely, like, taken aback. He has no idea, like, why. And Ethan's so confused. And, Jeff ends the presentation, and the teacher starts clapping, and everyone kind of confusingly claps as well. And they just have no idea, like, what is going on. And, at the end, so more people go, right? It's a fun day. And by the end of the day, right, Ethan, goes up to the teacher when everyone leaves the classroom, says, hey, can I talk to you for a second? So Ethan goes up to the teacher, and the teacher's like, yes, Ethan, like, what do you want to know? And he says, oh, by the way, great presentation. And Ethan's like, oh, thank you. I just had a question about Jeff's presentation. And the teacher looks at him, and he's like, all right, I think I know your question is. And Ethan just kind of looks back, and the teacher says, yes. Jeff did a presentation on Endermen, which, I know what they are. I play Minecraft with my son. I know that they're not real. However, Ethan, I don't think that Jeff did this maliciously. I think he genuinely believed that these creatures exist during the time. And even if he did research on a fictional creature, it's very apparent that he put in a lot of work. He put in as much, if not more, work than everyone else. And it just happened to be that the information that he learned was not true. Ethan, if you think about the assignment, what did I want you guys to do? I wanted you to pick a creature, learn about it on your own, and then make a presentation organizing what you learned, and then present it in front of everyone. Jeff checked off all those boxes. It just happened to be that, he was misled with the information that he got. I'm not going to punish him for that. And Ethan just looks at him like, oh, wow, okay. And, the teacher's like, you know what? Like, you don't need to tell Jeff about this. Like, he'll probably find out on his own. But all you need to know, Ethan, is you did a great job today. You'll be getting a great grade. And we'll be having a lot of fun for the rest of the semester. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like and then click on one of the 4 videos on screen right now, or just go and watch another video to support the channel. Thank you. Today we got a story of another Minecraft kid who thinks Freddy Fazbear is actually out to get him. However, this story has a bit of a twist to it, and when I received it, I knew I had to tell it. So stick around, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in this story, we're going to call him Benson. I got that name from the comment section, so leave any names you want me to use down below in the comment section. But anyways, right, this is a story of Benson and his friend George, who is the Minecraft kid, but we're just going to call him George from this point out. So this story started when Benson, the subscriber, and George, his friend, aka the Minecraft kid, who we're just going to call George, they were out, and it was like a Saturday, and they were just playing at their local park. They both lived in the same neighborhood, and their parents allowed them to go out to the local park to, to hang out, to like play with each other, whatever, having fun, right? And it was walking distance from both of their houses, and their parents kind of, they felt, I don't know, confident enough to let them go out by themselves, maybe they were mature enough, maybe the parents just thought like, they'll be fine or whatever. But anyways, they were free to go out and hang out whenever they wanted to, as long as they told their parents before they left. And this all happened one Saturday night. It was kind of getting dark outside, the sun was going down, and Benson and George were kind of just chilling there at the park, kind of staying a little bit later than they usually did. And this is where things start to get, where things start to go down per se, right? So Benson and George, they were kind of just chilling. They were both sitting on the swing set, and they weren't like actively swinging that hard. They're kind of just sitting there talking about, like, I don't know, the next game they wanted to play, or maybe a homework assignment. They were both in third grade, and they went to the same school, and they had the same class. So I don't know, man. Maybe they were talking about some assignment or something. Either way, they were kind of talking, and they heard a rustling in the forest, because right next to the park is a big patch of woods. So maybe forest isn't the correct word, but there is quite a few trees, and it was essentially a forest. I don't know if technically it falls in that definition, but then again, man, that's not my major, majoring in forest studies. That was my second choice. But anyways, right, they heard a rustling coming from the forest, and they kind of assumed at first that it was like, because they looked over, right, it was getting dark, they're the only ones there. They wanted to make sure that it wasn't like a bear or maybe a deer or anything, and while a deer probably wouldn't charge them, they just wanted to see what it was. And when they looked over, they saw nothing, and they kind of just assumed that, I don't know, man, maybe it was a squirrel in the trees making that rustling sound. Maybe it was just like, I don't know, a branch falling, or just something natural that really wasn't a threat at all. And so they go back to their conversation. They're sitting on the swings, and that's when they hear, once again, this rustling sound coming from the forest. And this is when they start to, like, look over again, because first time, maybe it's just a squirrel. I mean, maybe it still was just a squirrel, but if it was a tree branch falling, the second time, I don't know, it just caught their attention, because it definitely sounded like something was kind of moving. And they didn't immediately think that, oh, it's something like scary or something they should be afraid of, but they just, it caught their attention enough that they stopped talking to kind of look over. And while they didn't go over and necessarily investigate right away, they were kind of like, huh, I wonder what that was. And, Benson looks over at George and is like, do you think that's a squirrel or something? And George is like, I don't know, man. It's probably nothing, though. And as George was saying it's probably nothing, this time they heard a even bigger, like, crash. And this time it was very clear that there was, like, something moving around back there. And Benson's like, should we go investigate? And George is like, I don't know, man. If that's like a bear or something, maybe investigating is not the best idea. And Benson, the subscriber, is like, oh, come on, man. Let's just go in and see what it is. And by the way, Benson put when he was writing up this story, and if you want to send me stories like the stories I've been telling, Instagram's in the description. Go follow me there, even if you're not going to send me stories, because I like followers or whatever. But, Benson, when he was writing this up to me, he added a little note saying, in general, do not do this. If you hear rustling or any kind of, like, potentially dangerous noise, do not do what every, like, main character in a what every character that's assumed to be, like, game ended in a horror movie does is like, oh, let's go investigate the attic. Let's go investigate the basement. Also, let's split up and tell no one what we're doing. Yeah, at least they didn't split up, right? But anyways, George eventually decided to go along with Benson, and they started to walk at least close to the edge of the woods. They weren't going to, like, sprint in there trying to figure it out, but they wanted to get at least close enough to the woods to figure out what was making this noise. So when Benson and George got closer to the edge of the woods, they heard it again, and then they kind of saw that, like, because, you can kind of hear where something is coming from. They looked at kind of a cluster of trees that was somewhat close to them, but also a little bit reserved into the forest. And they heard another, like, kind of another branch crack, kind of sounding like something was, like, moving, almost intentionally moving. And, Benson, like, kind of like, he doesn't yell out, but he says pretty loudly, he's like, George, look, over there. I think that's where the noise is coming from. So they both look over to this cluster of trees. And this is where the thing that, like, is kind of crazy happens. It all gets explained later on. This is going to sound like some scientific, like some sci-fi story that's made up. But it all makes sense in just a second. Don't worry. Because when they look over to that cluster of trees, what they see completely shocks them. They see a bit of a shape behind the trees, and they're kind of confused like what it is. And as they're looking at the cluster of trees, they see this big kind of like Freddy Fazbear head kind of pop out and just stare at them. And at this point, right, they're both like standing there completely in shock because they know what, Five Nights at Freddy's is. They've played the game. They've seen people play the game. And, they've heard like internet rumors about it being an actual location and about how these things actually exist and how Scott Cawthon based this on like reality or whatever. But they never did believe it. But once they saw this, they were both completely shocked. And Benson just looks at George, and they turn around and sprint, the fastest these two have ever ran. So when Benson and George sprint like really far out of there, like they're out of the park and they're like a good 5-minute walk away from the park at this point, they both kind of stop, they catch their breath, and after about like a minute of catching their breath, they just look at each other, and Benson goes to George, he's like, man, I think I saw something, but I must have been seeing it incorrectly. And George just looks at Benson like, I mean, if you saw what I saw, then like we both weren't hallucinating, and if we were hallucinating, we probably weren't hallucinating the exact same thing. And Benson says, so you saw a Freddy head? And George is like, yeah, it makes no sense. Like, he isn't real, but I saw what I saw. And Benson and George are just so rattled by this that they're, Benson and George are like, hey man, or George is like, hey, let's just go back, let's go to bed, lock our doors at night, and let's just talk about this tomorrow. Because it was getting pretty late, it was getting dark, and they were pretty sure that their parents wanted them back home anyways. So the next day rolls around, and oh, by the way, they don't tell their parents because like, oh, I saw a video game creature head, in the park. If his parents heard that, or any of their parents heard that, they'd probably be like, all right, our kid is not sleeping enough, or like, all right, this kid needs some help, bro. Like, he saw a video game creature at the park. Something's probably up. But anyways, right, the next day rolls around at school, and, they're sitting at like a lunch table, and it's Benson, George, and some other kids from the neighborhood. And this one kid from the neighborhood, we're just going to call Ben, because he doesn't really, come into play that much often, or after this point. Or at least I don't need to use his name. So we're calling him Ben, because that's the name I give to everyone. He's sitting at the table, and he's like, I saw something really weird yesterday. And at this point, right, Benson and George look at each other, and then they look at Ben, and they're like, oh, what do you mean? Like, go on. Because they don't want to say that they saw, like, a video game character at the park, because that would be ridiculous. But they look at him, and, Ben goes on to say, I was at the park, and I was just there by myself, and this is really weird, but I don't know how to say it, but, I heard something coming from the woods, and Benson and George just look at him. And then Benson goes, did you see a Freddy Fazbear head by any chance? And Ben's eyes just go super wide. He's like, yes, like, I didn't think anyone would believe me. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, did you see him too? And he's like, yeah. Benson, George and I, we're at the park, and we heard something, and we didn't believe what we saw, but we both saw it, so it had to be true. And Benson, George, and, Ben and the other kids at the table, because, like, one or two other kids had a similar experience since they all lived in the same neighborhood, and this was a very popular park, they all came together, and they're like, all right, let's think about this logically. There is most likely not actually a real Freddy Fazbear. Like, we're just going to assume that he's not actually real. And by the way, comment Freddy down below right now. I will be hearting a bunch of random people who comment that. It just shows to me that you made it this far into the video, and I really do appreciate it. Anyways, though, they all sit at the table, and they're like, all right, reasonably, he's not real. However, we all saw the same thing, so we definitely saw something. So they sat down there, and they decided to concoct up a plan to investigate the situation and try and lure this, like, Freddy or whoever this is out of the woods and to actually figure out what is going on. So they wait till the end of school, and then after school, they all kind of, like, meet up a little bit outside the park, but also out of the view of the park. So nobody in the park or in the woods, whoever that might be, maybe it's, a person or an animatronic, who even knows at this point, could see them meeting up. So they meet up, and they're like, all right, who's going to be bait again? And Benson says, all right, I'll be the bait. And George decides to stay on the other team. And the only reason we have both perspectives on this is that Benson and George, Benson, the subscriber, submitted the story, but George gave him the account from, what he couldn't see. But anyways, right, the plan is Benson is going to go into the park. And he's going to see if, like, anything, like, because maybe, like, people being there would trigger whoever is in there to kind of make noise and try and come out. However, the other team, which is basically everyone else at the lunch table, so that means George, Ben, and the other kids who were there, are going to be kind of secretly not in sight, but they're going to be, like, sneaking up a little bit into the forest. Some of them are going to be, like, perched outside of the park. Essentially, right, they're going to stay hidden incognito while trying to figure out, who is behind all of this. The idea is that Benson will lure them out, or at least, have their attention on Benson, and then the other kids will be able to get in an ideal position to see who is actually behind this. So Benson is sitting on the swings. He's the bait, by the way. and he's sitting on the swings and he hears a crack and he's starting to get a little bit nervous because, like, hey man, being the bait is not always the greatest role in these types of things. So Benson is sitting there and he hears another crack, and in the corner of his eye, he looks over to see, like, he kind of like tries to visualize like where he saw, you know, the Freddy guy before, and he kind of looks over there, and since he can't really look like with his whole head, or can't turn his entire head without blowing his cover or making it look like he's trying to bait him, right? He only kind of like slowly shifts his eyes over and he looks at that patch of forest, and sure enough, it's blurry, but he can see the outline of kind of like a, you know, the Freddy head once again peeping out. And he just continues to sit there as if he doesn't notice, to try and like give the other people time to figure out who's actually behind this. And, you know, the guy, or at least there's more noise coming from that side of the woods. The assumption is that the guy in the Freddy, or if it actually is Freddy, spoiler, it's not, but the guy in the Freddy suit, whatever, is trying to like get his attention. So, you know, Benson is sitting there on the swings. He's hearing more noise coming from that section. And at some point, right, you know, he's going to eventually turn and look. However, Benson is also constantly looking at this area that's kind of far away. It's out of the view of the forest, but it's in view of Benson sitting on the swing. And he looks there and he sees George. George is not the one sitting on the swing, but George is the one who did part of the investigation. And George is giving him the thumbs up signal. By the way, one thing that they added was when the investigation team had gotten what they needed, you know, they were to give the thumbs up so that Benson could, you know, walk away from the swing set and know when he's basically done with his part of the deal. So Benson gets up, he gets off the swings, and he walks out of the park. And they all meet up again. And Benson's like, all right, so like, what did you guys find? And George and the others told their findings. George goes on to say, while you were distracting whoever was behind there, Benson, we were able to get around and look into the forest at all these different angles without being detected. And sure enough, we all saw what we saw before, a Freddy head. However, the rest of the body was a human body. And one of us was able to get closer, points to Ben, right? And he's like, one of us was able to get closer and confirm who it was. George points to Ben, and Ben kind of stands up. He's like, I was able to get close enough, and I recognized the outfit. And he said the name of who wore the outfit at school that day. And they all knew who this was. This was a kid in one grade above them who is notorious for bullying kids, and especially kids that were younger than him. They all knew who it was at this point, and they realized that the school bully bought this like Freddy Fazbear costume, or at least the head part, and knew that everyone, especially the kids in the grade below him, which were them, really enjoyed the park. So he would wait out after school and scare anyone who came. Ben, George, and Benson and the other kids did eventually get revenge on this bully, but I'm going to save that for another part. I don't normally like doing the part 1 and part 2 like on TikTok. That's very annoying. However, I don't want to make these videos too long, and also I can't make them too long because of my own software restrictions. But anyways, make sure to subscribe to see the part 2. Leave a like on the video, and then click one of the 4 videos on screen right now / watch another video to support the channel. Peace. Today's story is about when the subscriber who sent in this story convinced his younger brother and his friends that Siren Head was real, and then pulled a massive prank on them, and it was quite funny. Leave a like in the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber Owen. I got that name from the comment section down below, so leave a name in the comments you want me to use. Anyways, right, so this all happened because Owen wanted to get revenge on his little brother, and his little brother, we're going to call him Steve, but I might just refer to him as the little brother. Anyways, right, so a couple days ago, Steve did something against the subscriber Owen that made Owen pretty mad. So essentially, right, Owen had a pretty decently large schoolwork assignment that he had to do, and the family only had one computer that they kind of all used. And essentially, right, Steve decided to kind of hog the computer for the entire day playing Minecraft the entire time, when Owen really just needed to get on for a little bit to just, you know, to finish up a Word document or whatever to, you know, turn into school. And for some reason, right, you know, Steve was just not letting him get on, and, you know, Steve and Owen's parents were out for a little bit, so they weren't able to, you know, kick Steve off, and Steve would refuse to, like, you know, to let Owen on even for a second. And for that reason, right, Owen was only able to get on and, like, edit his Word document for school only for a little bit very late at night. And for that reason, the document wasn't that good, and Owen didn't get the greatest grade that he wanted, and probably not as good of a grade that he would have gotten if he was able to get on earlier. So for that reason, right, Owen is pretty upset, Owen is pretty mad, and he wants to get revenge against Steve, his little brother. And, Owen's like a couple years older, and I think Owen's in like fourth grade or whatever. Steve might be in second or first. But anyways, right, Owen knows that Steve is having friends over in a couple days. So he sits down in his room and thinks to himself, I gotta pull a prank on Owen, or on Steve. I gotta get him back somehow. Anyways, right, so Owen the subscriber was sitting in his room and he's thinking to himself, I need to get back at Steve, like I need to figure out a way. And he was sitting there, and then a little bit of an idea started to cross his mind. He remembered that he saw not too long ago on the internet this urban legend of the Siren Head. Basically, if you don't know, it's like this big scary monster thing that appears and makes this very distinctive sound. If you want to go look it up, that's totally up to you. I don't want to play it if it's too scary for you guys. But anyways, right, it's a pretty cool internet legend, but it's also a pretty scary one as they go. And Owen was sitting there. He's like, okay, why did I think of this? Why did my brain make me think of like, oh, I should think of this for like the prank or whatever. And then it came to Owen. He knew exactly what he needed to do. Step one was wait. Because he had to wait until, Steve had his friends over. And also, while he was waiting, set up the proper equipment and get together the story for part 2. Next, part 2. When Steve and his friends come over, casually start talking about Siren Head to them, and then kind of convince them that Siren Head is real. And even if they aren't totally convinced that Siren Head is real, and they're like, oh, you're just messing with us, at least remind them or make sure that they know what his distinctive sound sounds like, so that when they hear that sound, they'll be alerted. Step 3, wait until very late at night. Because one thing that, Owen knew was that his parents were not going to be back for quite a while, right? Even though, kids were coming over, sleeping over at the house. For some reason, all the parents were okay with them kind of just chilling there. I mean, I can't really explain that part of the story, but it is what it is. So basically, right, make it late at night so they've all gone to bed, but before the parents get back. And during that time period, sneak out of bed. I mean, he'll be sleeping in a different room than the other kids in the sleepover, right? Kind of quietly get out of bed and then play the siren song, like the Siren Head song. It's very distinctive. It's very creepy. If you've not already listened to it, you can go ahead and listen to it if you want to. But anyways, right, that was the plan to prank them, and let's see if it actually worked out. So anyways, right, Steve and his friends, a couple days later, Steve has his friends over, and at this point, right, they're kind of sitting at the kitchen table. Their mom made like pizza, pre-made or whatever. Speaking of pizza, I'm pretty hungry, but the mom made pizza beforehand just so that they'd have something to eat when they got back, because his mom was out for the moment. And they're sitting there, and Owen casually drops like, oh, you guys know what Siren Head is? Some of them, shake their head no. A few of them nod their head yes, and they're like, oh, it's that thing on, like, the internet or whatever. And Owen is like, oh, you know it's not just a thing on the internet, right? It's actually, legit. And one of the kids is very convinced. He's like, oh, are you serious? And the other one's like, no, dude. Like, it's obviously fake. It's like, it's online. It's just an internet meme. And, so Owen has kind of predicted this. Owen was aware that they probably wouldn't have just been convinced just by the fact of him saying, oh, Siren Head is real, especially if they knew there was an internet meme. And Owen, turned to the guys, and he's like, I thought that was I felt the same way before. He's like, I saw it on the internet, and I thought it was kind of spooky, but I didn't think much more of it until my friend. Do you remember Ben? Once again, I'm just using Ben as it's. If you've been on the channel for a while, Ben is the name I use whenever I don't have a name. So he's like, remember my friend Ben? And essentially, right, Steve and his friends kind of nodded, because Ben was, one of Owen's friends back in the day, but Ben had to move way across the country. And, Owen was looking at them. He's like, Ben and I talked a couple days ago, and he was telling me about how out in the country, because he was kind of in the countryside, a lot more like they were living in more of a city, or Ben moved to the countryside, and Owen was like, he was telling me about some stuff that was happening out there. And he said that, one night he was walking out in the fields, and he was kind of late. He was out just kind of like messing around, playing out there because he used to be in the city too, because he lived where, Owen was living. And Ben was having some fun exploring the countryside, but he also let time kind of slip away. And if you guys don't know, when the sun sets really quickly, and it was getting dark. And Owen looks at them. He's like, and then he said that, he heard this sound, the siren sound. And it was kind of this long, monotonous wailing that kind of, he heard it before. And that's when he realized that it sounded just like something he saw online. And he got really freaked out because that's a pretty scary sound to hear when it's getting dark out late at night. And he's like, oh, wow, like, I'm kind of freaking out. Like, so right, Ben, he starts running back. And as he's running back home, he makes a wrong turn, and he finds himself in this, like, a big abandoned field or whatever. And, he looks out in the distance, and it's a very flat field. In the middle of the country, there's a lot of kind of flat terrain. And he looks very far down, and he sees on the horizon this big, long, lanky figure that had kind of this siren head and had to be at least 50, 60 feet tall. Of course, right, Ben immediately ran in the other direction, and after, like, a lot of panicked running, he eventually found his way home. And let me just say, Ben did not go wandering after dark after that time. So Owen finished up telling that story, which if you don't know, that story was, he fabricated it to make it more believable. And the one kid who was like kind of snarky and like, he's obviously an internet thing, this kid was still like, yeah, right, I think your friend Ben is just trying to mess with you. But obviously, the other kids were like really like they're all shaken and like, oh my God, they all look kind of nervous. And even the kid that was like putting on a front about being like, yeah, man, that's obviously fake. Truth is, he was also pretty scared and rattled by the story. Even if he wasn't 100% convinced by it, let me just say that if he was to, and I'm not saying he does, wink wink, but if he was to hear the siren head noise later that night, right? Like when it was like 11 o'clock and it's all dark outside, yeah, he might have been a little bit scared, even if he didn't believe in it, quote unquote, So anyways, right, on to part 2, the actual prank. Real quick, drop a like and then comment siren head down below. That's kind of the secret word of the day. I just like seeing how many people made it this far, and I'll try and heart a bunch of those comments. So yeah, comment siren head, and maybe even comment it 1 or 2 times just to make it like easier or more likely that I'll see it and give you a heart. Anyways, back to part 2 of the story, which is the actual prank. Anyways, right, so Owen doesn't say anything else about siren head for the rest of the night, as he doesn't want to make it seem suspicious, right? Because he already had a pretty big like spiel about it. He doesn't want to make it seem like he's trying to pull a prank or like set up for a prank or whatever. And Steve and his friends have like a decently good night, and yeah, eventually they get tired around 10:30, and they go to their bed, they turn off the lights. However, right, when Owen went back to his room, he turned off the lights to make it seem convincing, but what he actually did was he snuck out of his room and began to prepare for the massive prank. So essentially, right, Owen gets out of his bed, sitting in there for like 10 minutes or so, goes into his closet as quietly as possible, and gets out his speaker. He goes in, pairs the speaker with his phone, and as quietly as possible, walks downstairs, and then walks down to the basement. He goes into the basement, and he places the speaker down there, make sure that the lights are kind of like, has a kind of a hidden place, but he kind of knows that if scary sounds are coming from the basement, bro, no one is investigating that. No one is investigating the basement, dude. That's the last place they're going to go. But anyways, right, he puts the speaker in the basement and makes sure his phone is still connected and walks upstairs. You might be thinking, oh, what if his phone disconnects? He actually tested it the day before. That was part of part 1, making sure that everything worked. And sure enough, for some reason, right, maybe the way his house was like the walls were thin enough, or his phone was good enough, or some combination of the two, his phone stayed connected even when he went back into his room. And so he goes back into his room, shuts his door quietly, locks it, sits in bed, and then goes to his phone and gets up a file. I don't know if it's on Spotify, SoundCloud, if he downloaded a file or something. And sure enough, right, the siren head sounds, the really creepy ones that like he was talking about earlier in that fake story he told to like kind of like prep them for the siren head or whatever. He had a copy of that, and sure enough, he played it. And so, like, it wasn't super blaring loud because it was from the basement, but it was loud and clear enough that, they could hear exactly what was going on. So, right, Steve and his friends were asleep, but they were starting to wake up. Owen was sitting in his room and he heard, like Steve and his friends from his room start to whisper, start to talk, and they were like, "Oh my God, what is that? What's that noise? Like, what are we hearing?" Right? And sure enough, right, Owen is sitting in his bed, kind of like pretending to be asleep as he hears his door slam open. And Steve is like, "Owen, what's going on?" And Owen kind of like gets up, pretends to be extra groggy as if he was just awoken from like a pretty good nap. And Owen's like, "Man, what are you talking about?" And Steve's like, listen, I think it's the siren head you were talking about earlier. I didn't want to believe you. I didn't want to believe your friend, but I think he's telling the truth. I think siren head is in our basement. So it's Steve and Steve's friends, all standing in Owen's room, and Owen pretends to be extra brave and is like, "All right, I'll go down and investigate. Like, I'll get to the bottom of this." So Owen starts confidently walking down the stairs towards the source of the noise. And sure enough, right, it was getting louder and louder as they got close to the basement. And Steve was like, "Don't go down there. I don't know what's down there." And Owen's like, "Don't worry about it. I'm just going to go check it out." And sure enough, Owen opens the door to the basement, walks down it, and like slams the door. And like, Steve and his friends were kind of confused. And at that point, Owen starts going, Steve, help me. As if like, I don't know, Siren Head was trying to get him or something. So at this point, right, Steve and his friends are like, "Ah!" So eventually, like, Steve is trying to figure out, like, do we run? Do we do something? And Steve's like, I can't let him. We have to go down. So sure enough, Steve and his friends go down there and they start venturing down. The basement is completely like dark. And, because the thing is, the light switch is in a really unfortunate position. The light switch is all the way down in the basement, which is like just kind of like crappy design, but like, hey man, not much you can do. So they're going down into the dark basement with the sounds of Siren Head as loud as they possibly could be, and no sound of Owen, no sighting of Owen. And Steve and his friends are just down there and they're kind of like cowering. And then all of a sudden, bah! Owen jumps out. He's like, "Gotcha. Next time, don't hog the computer, bro." Subscribe if you haven't already. Leave a like on the video and then click one of the 4 videos on screen right now if you want to support the channel. Bye. Today we have a story time sent in by a subscriber of when his little cousin actually thought that Huggy Wuggy was not just real in real life, but also was actually after him. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's just jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber Miles, and I got that name from the comments, so leave a comment of a name you'd like me to use, and comment it a few times as I'll have a better chance of actually seeing it and using it. Anyways, right, so this story comes from the subscriber who we're calling Miles. And so, right, Miles has this cousin, and this cousin is the Minecraft kid, because it's kind of unrelated to this story, but a little mini story is his cousin actually like had to have his entire computer taken away for an entire week because when his mom said, "Hey, it's time for you to go to bed," he stayed up for the entire night playing Minecraft. And the only reason his mom knows this is she had to get up to go to the bathroom at like 4 in the morning, and she heard noise coming from, the cousin's room, and she goes in there and sure enough, he's playing Bed Wars or something. So that's why he was kind of known in the family as the Minecraft kid. But anyways, right, Miles, a subscriber, his aunt, aka, the mother of his cousin, asks him very politely, like, "Hey, I know this is kind of like an ask, but this Saturday, I'm going to need you to come over and just watch over him. I have to be out. I will pay you $20, so it'll be worth your time, but, I'll pay you $20. And just come and watch him. He's really like no problem at all. He'll probably just sit there playing Minecraft anyway, so you'll be fine." And so, Miles, the subscriber, yeah, there's some other things he wants to do, but hey, he's got to get that bag, and I do respect that, and I understand where he's coming from, and he also wants to be good to his aunt. You always got to be there for family, if you know what I mean. But anyways, right, so on that Saturday, sure enough, Miles is dropped off by his mom, and he goes in, and the aunt of his cousin's like, "Oh, Miles, thank you so much for coming. I really, really appreciate you doing this. Like, I know it's a big ask to take away, your Saturday, at least for the day itself." And Miles said, "Hey, it's really no big problem. Appreciate you paying me, right?" And she's like, "Of course, the least I can do." So anyway, she's like, "Miles," not Miles. We're just going to call him Minecraft Kid. The aunt goes, Minecraft kid, which is the cousin of Miles, come down here and say hi to Miles. He's here. And the cousin actually runs down the stairs and is pretty happy to see Miles. And I don't know about you, but whenever family or just, little kids or whatever who are really excited to see you and they come running down with these like big eyes, I don't know, man. It always makes me feel good. But anyways, right, Miles comes running out. He's like, oh, dang it, I messed up the names again. It's not Miles running down, it's the cousin. We're going to call the cousin Ben because that's the standard name I use when I need a name real quick. So Ben is the Minecraft kid, aka the cousin. So Ben comes running down the stairs. He's like, oh, Miles, like, I'm so excited to see you. Look what I did in Minecraft. I built this big, whatever, right? Etc. Whatever happens. And sure enough, Ben's mom is like, all right, thank you so much, Miles, for coming. Like, I gotta go now. And anyways, right, so Miles is kind of the de facto babysitter for the day. And they're kind of just instructed to chill here for most of the day. However, if they get bored, they're allowed to go to the park. So anyways, right, at first, Miles and Ben, they play a little Minecraft together. Miles doesn't really play that much himself, but, he plays enough to be able to hold his own in the game. And obviously, Ben plays all the time. That's why he's also known as the Minecraft kid. But anyways, right, so Ben and Miles, they're playing a bit, but, they just kind of get bored, or at least, Miles is down to do whatever because he's the babysitter. But, Ben gets a little bit bored and he says, all right, I'm kind of done with this. Do you want to go to the park? And let me just say that everything, basically, it hits the fan at the park. What I'm trying to say is, like, things get bad at the park. That's when the story gets interesting. Miles could have avoided everything that's about to transpire if he just said, nah, we're staying here. But unfortunately, man, Miles did not say we're staying here. Instead, they went to the park. To be fair, Miles would have had no insight or no possibility to know how bad things were about to get or how crazy and like ridiculous things were about to get. So he wouldn't have known, but like in retrospect, hindsight's 2020 or whatever the saying is. But anyways, so they get to the park and the entire car ride over, Miles notices that Ben, his cousin, by the way, just in case you forgot the names. Miles, the subscriber, realizes that his little cousin Ben he's just looking a little weird. He's looking like a little nervous. He's kind of like looking out kind of frantically. His eyes are darting out. His legs are kind of like dangling back and forth as kind of like a nervous little tick or something. And so Miles kind of looks at him as, they're, driving over and, Miles is like, hey man, like, are you good? And so Miles kind of looks at him and says, hey, man, like, what's wrong? Like, what's good? Is everything all right? And, Ben kind of looks up at him and he's kind of just thinking for a second. And, Ben has this kind of nervous look and Miles is just like, all right, something's definitely up. And then eventually, Ben says, all right, I'm just a little nervous that this creature it's after me. Like, it's going to sound dumb, but I think Huggy Wuggy is after me. Remember, Miles is in first grade. So this is not like some 17-year-old kid being like, oh no, Huggy Wuggy's gonna get me. So anyways, right, Miles just kind of like looks at him and says, Ben, you don't need to worry about that. Huggy Wuggy is not real. He's from a video game. And Ben's like, but my older brother, and he says his older brother's name, but too many names, I'm going to mix them up. He's like, but my older brother showed me this video and said that, like, it was, like, real, and it was from, like, the dark web, and it's, like, a video of him, like, actually, I know he's in a video game, but apparently he's, like, based on real life, and it's, like, this leaked video that, like, the CIA was trying to, like, keep under wraps. And at this point, right, Miles just kind of looks at Ben and is like, Ben, that story is so convoluted. Do you think either, one, that, this big, blue, magical creature who's after you, apparently, is actually real, that the FBI wanted to keep secret but allowed to be a full-fledged video game and allowed the leak of a video on the dark web, or, option 2 here, your brother made that up? And sure enough, Ben kind of looks at him and is like, yeah, I guess. But even then, Miles kind of had a feeling that, Ben was not 100% on board, that while he did believe, he was, like, starting to see the issues, Miles could tell that Ben was still a little bit nervous, a little bit rattled. So Miles is like, all right, well, we're at the park, so don't even think about that, man. That's nothing to be worried about. And as they're getting out of the car, is when everything just completely crumbles. Everything gets mad crazy. But before that, if you made it this far into the video, which I mean you did, you're listening to this, comment Huggy Wuggy down below. That's the secret word of the video. And I'm going to be hearting a bunch of comments, or as many as I can. Comment it maybe 2, 3, 4+ times. Don't comment more than 4 times though, if you want a better chance of me actually seeing it and you getting a heart. And also, while you're down there, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. Anyways, let's get back to the story. So right now, right, Miles is in the driver's seat of the car, and they park on like the parking lot or really close to the park. They step out and they're in the park, and Ben gets out of like his seat. He starts walking out, and Miles is unbuckling his kind of buckle and about to get out of the car when he hears Miles scream, "Ah!" At this point, right, not Miles, Ben screams, "Ah!" And at this point, Miles is like, "Oh my God, like what's happening?" And then he looks at Ben, and Ben has this terrified look on his face. And Miles was genuinely scared because he's like, "Oh my God, like that's a look of like pure fear. Like what could have incited this in him? Like, what could he have seen to like have such a reaction?" Because like, God, yeah, I'm scared myself. But then, Ben follows it up from saying, "Ah," to saying, "It's Huggy Wuggy. He's after me." And then Ben sprints. And little kids are fast. And Ben was not just your average little kid. Ben, even though he sat around playing Minecraft all day, he was also extraordinarily fast. So Miles, after turning around to see what Ben was screaming at, turns back around to look where Ben was. He's not there, and he's like very far away. He's already had like 5 seconds of sprinting on Miles, and Miles is like, no, we're not doing this. I'm not losing this kid. So Miles gets out of the car, he unbuckles himself, he starts jogging over, he's like, "Ben, stop running. I don't know what you saw, but it wasn't what you think." And he just hears in the distance Ben going, "Ah!" So Miles starts like jogging over, he's like, "Ben, wait, stop running, stop." And at this point, right, Ben goes around a corner. He's like, "Oh, shoot, like I lost sight of him." Because like, even if Ben was like running and he was pretty far away, as long as Miles had like at least eyes on him, eventually Ben would get burnt out, stop running, or at least stop being scared, or at least feel like he was far enough away from whatever he's running from. But the second that like Ben turned that corner, it was just kind of a big risk. And at this point, right, Miles eventually jogs over, gets to the corner, turns around, looks, and Ben is just nowhere to be seen. And he's like, "You gotta be kidding me." Because while Ben had access to a computer, obviously, to play Minecraft that much, he didn't have access to a phone. So Ben was kind of just out there without any connection and, real no way for him to know. So at this point, right, Miles was faced with kind of a two-way street, or at least two directions, Ben could have run. It was like one was going, or not two-way street, there was two directions. He could have gone down the street, or he could have gone left to this path. And Miles is just looking at this like, I have a 50-50 shot of going down the right direction. And Miles is like, "All right, screw it, I'm just going to choose one of these randomly." Thankfully, right, luck was on his side, a little spoiler. But anyways, right, so he decides to keep going down the street. Miles decides to keep going down the street, and it's like, all right, I gotta find Ben. He's like, "Ben," he starts yelling out. He's like, Ben, like, I'm here. Like, I don't know what you're screaming about, but trust me, it's nothing. And eventually, right, as, Miles is kind of jogging, he's like, Ben, where are you?" Eventually, he sees Ben at the very end of the road. And, he starts going up. He's like, "Ben, like, you can't run off like that." And then he realizes the Ben is in the yard of some random person. He's not just in the yard of some random person, he has locked himself within the fence of some random person. And at this point, right, he runs up to him, he's like, "Ben, you gotta get out of there, that's someone's house." And Ben looks at him, he's like, "How do I not know you're Huggy Wuggy in disguise?" And at this point, right, Miles just has this look on his face like, "You gotta be kidding me, bro. You cannot be serious." And so Miles is like, "All right, I obviously got to play along with this." He's like, "All right, how can I prove that I'm not actually Huggy Wuggy?" And Ben kind of looks at him like, "What's my middle name?" And for a second, Miles was like, "Oh, shoot, I actually don't know this kid's middle name." And he's like, And Ben gives him this look like, if you don't get it, you're actually Huggy Wuggy, right? Which is completely illogical, but whatever, right? He's a first grader. And Miles is like, shoot. But then for some reason, he remembers, Miles' like mother, or no, Ben's mother recalling the story of when she caught Ben like playing video games at 4:30 in the morning. And during the story, she said that she called out to Ben Jonathan Jordan, because that's like his full name or whatever, or it's a random name, but Ben Jonathan Jordan, what are you doing at this hour? And it's like, as he remembered that, right, Miles was like, Jordan. Wait, I think I said Jonathan. He's like, Jonathan. And then he looks, and Ben looks at him like, you're actually my cousin. Like, oh my God. He unlocks himself and he goes in for like a big hug and he's like kind of crying. At this point, right, the subscriber's feeling kind of bad. He's like, all right, like this was ridiculous. But he's like, you know what, Ben, don't worry about it. Let's just walk back to the car. And as they're walking back to the car, the subscriber's just kind of looking around. Miles is just kind of looking around, like what could have set him off. And as he's getting to the car, he looks in the store window and he sees that there's like construction being done within the store. And there's this big blue tarp. So apparently when Miles was like, or not Miles, when Ben was kind of like freaking out about like, oh, Huggy Wuggy's going to get him, he just kind of like got out of the car and looked briefly at the door window and he saw this big kind of dark blue thing, blob, and then he turned away super quickly to run away. That's essentially what at least Miles was thinking. He didn't want to ask Ben just in case the slight chance Ben looks at it. It's like, oh my God, it's Huggy Wuggy, and then runs away again, and he has to do the whole thing again because he's not doing that again, bro. That's just simply not happening. That's just not happening, dude. So anyways, they get in the car, and Ben is just like, hey, I'm so sorry, and Miles is like, dude, don't worry about it. Let's just go home. Let's play some Minecraft. Let's just do something chill. So if you remember at the beginning of the story, or kind of towards the middle, when Ben explained to Miles why he thought Huggy Wuggy was real and about to get him, he explained that it was his older brother that made up this tale and told him. And the thing is, right, Miles was kind of mad because, like, he was this close to losing Ben and he barely got him back. So when Ben's moms got back, the aunt or whatever, Miles decided to have a little chat with her, being like, don't get mad at Ben, he didn't know any better. And then he went on to explain that it was Ben's brother and told him everything. And the aunt and, Ben's mom / the aunt's like, oh, well, that's very interesting. He will be having a talking to when he gets back. And so Miles walks out. He's like, hey, he looks at Ben. Ben's like, I'm so sorry again. And Miles just looks at him like, dude, don't worry about it. Also, by the way, I don't think your brother will be telling you tall tales like that anytime soon. Subscribe if you haven't already. Now go click on one of the videos on screen right now if you'd like to support the channel. Bye. Today we got a story time of a Minecraft kid who thinks the back rooms are actually real and it's a serious danger and threat to everyone. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Sit back, relax, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's get right into it. So we're going to call a subscriber who sent in today's story, we're going to call him Will. I got that name from the comment section down below, so if you want me to use a name, either your name, your friend's name, your dog's name, basically any name that you like, if you want me to use it in a future video, just leave it down below in the comment section, and I'll definitely make sure to go through and find and look at those. And I mean, I use those names in the comments of the names of all the videos. But anyways, right, so Will told me the story about, this was actually quite recent. So if you don't know, a pretty viral video came out, or set of videos, where someone made a very realistic, like movie type short film about the back rooms, which, if you don't know, it's like an old internet legend that, like, if you're not really careful or if you're really unlucky, you can quote unquote no clip, which is like in a video game where you like clip through a wall. You can no clip out of reality into the back rooms, which is like these repeating, really dark, musky kind of this kind of like dark, musky, repeating set of office type rooms where these like monsters live. It was a really great short film that was based on that kind of like internet mystery or whatever. And when it came out, right, it was like they made it really realistic. I mean, obviously it's as realistic as a fantasy horror, like a house-made film would be, correct? But at the same time, they did a really good job. However, recently, the subscriber Will said that his friend, who is definitely a Minecraft kid, saw the videos and believed that they were 100% real. This is kind of giving me vibes of like, I don't know, Salem Witch Trial, or not Salem Witch Trials, what's it called? The movie called The Blair Witch Project, where when they released it back in 1999, before the internet was as like normalized as it is now. They made it like as if it was a found footage and that like what was going on was actually real, and people kind of did believe it. This is kind of a similar situation, so let's just jump right into it. Anyways, right, so pretty recently, Will was just in class, and he was just sitting there one day, and he was friends with this kid who played like a little bit too much Minecraft, and that's definitely not a bad thing as it's the background footage for this video. But Will was just sitting in class one day, and the kid that he always played Bed Wars with, he came in panting and sweating, and just looked at Will with these like wide eyes, and he just like looked back. He's like, "Man, are you good?" And the Minecraft kid's like, "Will, we need to talk at recess today." And Will was like genuinely concerned. Like Will was genuinely worried for like what is going on. Like, why is this kid freaking out? Why does he feel as if like he needs to talk to me at recess? Like, did something really bad happen? Because it looks like something really bad happened from the looks of this. Like, it's kind of freaking him out, to be honest. Anyways, right after class, it's recess, so Will goes and finds the Minecraft kid and is like, "Hey man, like what's wrong?" And he's like, "I can't talk to you here about this. We need to go over there." And he points to kind of a more deserted corner of like the playground. And Will's like, "All right, like cool, I guess. I'm a little worried because I don't know what's going on and it just kind of feels a little weird, but all right, cool enough, I guess." And the kid's like, "All right, bro, come over here." And he said like Will's like really kind of freaking out. He feels kind of weird about the whole thing. And the Minecraft kid says, "Man, I gotta warn you about something. What do you know about the back rooms?" And at this point, right, Will had no idea what the back rooms were. Because, Will's on the internet. I mean, he watches this channel. But I guess he just didn't get recommended that video. And he also hasn't been on the internet long enough to kind of know about the internet horror. Because it's like a pretty popular internet horror story. Like, I knew about the back rooms way before that short film came out, just because I've been on the internet for a while and I'm pretty immersed with the culture on here, if I do say so myself. And he's like, "Will, you gotta be really careful." And he's like, "Dude, what are you talking to me?" He's like, "Whatever you do, don't no clip out of reality." And Will kind of looked at him because, like, at the end of the day, right, Will wasn't totally sure what the backrooms were before, he actually did a little research after this whole story goes down and before he sent this in to me. But he knew what, like, clipping, like, no clipping out of the framework of a video game was. And he was like, "Dude, what are you even talking about?" He's like, "Bro, you gotta trust me on this. If you no clip out of reality, you'll be sent to the back rooms, and it's just repeating Office Space forever, and there's no escape, man. And if you're not careful, they're creatures. They're creatures that roam the back rooms." And at this point, right, Will's like, "All right, bro, like, I think I've had enough of this conversation. I've heard what I've needed to hear. Like, okay, buddy." So anyways, right, the Minecraft kid's like, "All right, man, just know I warned you." And, they go back to class, or, the bell rings and they go back to class. And Will's just kind of weirded out by all this. And he's looking over at the Minecraft kid. And the Minecraft kid is not even focusing in class. He's like too paranoidly looking around, afraid that he's like about to no clip out of reality, whatever that's even supposed to mean. And the teacher's like kind of going on and on about something. He's like, "And then, the square root of x plus," or whatever, right? He's just kind of going on. And then all of a sudden, right, Will, the subscriber, sees the Minecraft kid out of the corner of his eye get out of his seat and run up towards the front of the classroom. And at this point, Will was like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And the Minecraft kid tackles the teacher just out of nowhere. And the teacher was kind of like holding on to something, and whatever was in his hand flew out of his hand. And like the whole class kind of was like kind of gasped a little bit and then started like talking. And the Minecraft kid was like, "Oh my God, that was a close one. I just saved your life." And the teacher kind of pushed him off of him. He's like, "What are you doing? What are you thinking?" And the Minecraft kid said the teacher was like, I swear, you were about to no clip, you were about to go to the back rooms." And then just like pure silence afterwards. And the teacher's like, "What?" And the Minecraft kid's like, "I can't explain it, but I just saved your life." Imagine going up to someone saying, "I can't explain it, but I just saved your life, so you should be nice to me. Like, you should feel good." Like, imagine I just go up to someone, like, touch their shoulder and be like, "You don't understand it, man, but I just saved your life. No, you don't understand it. Like, you don't even try and understand, man. You just don't understand. But I just saved your life." So if I were you, I would just be like super nice to me, maybe even give me like $25 or whatever money's in your pocket. just because I saved your life, which I think is worth so much more than whatever's in your pocket, man. So it would just be the least you could do, you know? Like, I'm not about to go up and do that to someone. And the teacher's just like, looks at him, kind of with this like weird look and just like silence for a little bit. And he's like, I don't know what just happened. I really don't know what just happened. But just go sit back down, and I don't want to hear any more of this backroom nonsense. Like, just sit down. Like, I'm not going to send you to the principals. I don't know why, but this is just too weird. Sit back down. Don't say anything. Don't speak up in class. And the Minecraft kid, like, gets up, and he walks back. And Will, the subscriber, is looking at him like, dude, are you insane? Are you good? And the Minecraft kid looks over at him and kind of leans over because he's sitting right next to him. He's like, bro, the teacher was about to no-clip out of reality. He doesn't understand it, but I just saved his life. And at this point, Will just looks at him with this kind of just this blank look of just astonishment. Just, is this my friend? Is my friend okay? By the way, if you made it this far into the video, comment backrooms down below. That's one word, back room, and then with a S, plural, backroom or backrooms, actually. Comment either of them. I just like to see how many people made it this far into the video. But anyways, right, the end of class happens, and the teacher looks at the Minecraft kid and basically signals him to come up and talk to him. But Will has no idea what the teacher said to the Minecraft kid, because by that time, Will had already left the classroom. He's like, all right, well, most likely, and most likely the teacher was like, are you okay? Like, what happened in there? And also, you can't do that, like, in general. Like, you just can't do that. And anyways, right, so Will, the subscriber, he's walking down the hallway, and he's walking to the next class. And probably by this time, the Minecraft kid gets out of the class. Like, Will doesn't know that at the time, but using this logic and what is about to happen, which is quite interesting, he just puts two and two together, and the Minecraft kid probably came out about that time. And in front of him, right, is a pretty long hallway, and a door opens to a classroom. And it's a classroom that has the same, like, kind of like these kind of like dingy yellow lights, like kind of lights that are kind of like office type fluorescent type lights, similar to what it looks like in the back rooms. And sure enough, right, the walls are kind of like, the wallpaper is kind of this yellow. It was bad interior design, but obviously, right, it wasn't actually the back rooms. It was like just really like crappy design. It just looked ugly. But anyways, right, Will the subscriber was kind of walking towards the end of the room, or the end of the hall, and he wasn't going into that room specifically, but he did see, like, the room exist. Like, he just did notice it. And he didn't think much of it until he heard a screaming coming from behind him. And sure enough, right, it was the Minecraft kid who also saw this. And it's weird because, like, this classroom wasn't new. If anything, it was probably pretty old. But I guess the Minecraft kid was just on high alert to look for, like, no clips into the back room. And the second he saw a classroom that had kind of, like, you know, bad, crappy wallpaper and, like, bad, crappy lighting, he was like, oh my God, man, it's the back rooms. The portal's opened up. Just like something crazy like that. And like he sees kids walking to it because they have a class there, man. It's this normal classroom, bro. And they have a classroom there. I mean, they have a class. Of course they're going to walk there. And he starts shouting, no, don't go in there. It's a trap. And at this point, right, all the kids in the hallway start to turn around and just kind of look at, you know, what's going on. And by the way, the subscriber who sent this in, he's in 3rd grade. So this is not like a 10th grader thinking the back rooms are actually real. Just a clarification. But anyways, he's like, no, don't go back there. It's a trap. It's the back rooms. They've opened up. And at this point, right, people are just kind of looking around like, huh? Like, bro, what are you saying? And like, there's a couple people that are about to walk in the classroom who aren't turning around looking at this kid screaming. And the Minecraft kid's like, no, and sprints down the hallway. And Will, the subscriber, says he's never seen this kid run this fast. Like, has never probably seen anyone run this fast. He just, like, lightning bolt sprints down the hallway, jumps in front of the people, and kind of knocks them over. Almost like he's tackling them in football. It's crazy. He's like, I just saved your life. Why didn't you listen to me? Don't go into that room. It's a trap. And the teacher who's teaching a class in that room walks out after hearing all this commotion and is like, guys, what's going on? What is going on out here? At this point, right, there's this guy who has watched the whole thing go down and listened to everything. And the Minecraft kid is like talking to the kids on the ground who he's tackled. He's like, I just saved you from entering the back rooms. You almost no clipped out of reality. At this point, like, this kid, right, that I just mentioned a second ago is like, back rooms, no clipped out of reality. And he looks at the Minecraft kid and he's like, you don't think the back rooms are actually real, right? And the Minecraft kid's like, bro, I thought the same thing as you. I thought it was just like funny business, but then I saw these videos on the internet that are real live footage from 1980s. There was a film student and he recorded the whole thing and someone just got the footage and uploaded it. And the kid looked at him like, bro. He's like, dude, you do realize, right, that was like a film project that was made recently. And at this point, the Minecraft kid's like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, you could literally see the footage. It had a time, it had a date on it. It was 1980s, right? It was a film. It was like it was college kids. They're doing a film project. And then one of them no-clipped into the back room. And then the camera was sent all the way. And they started like listening to what he was saying. He's like, the camera was sent all the way out of the back rooms, falling. And then the other kid who like was just looking at him like, okay. He's starting to get it. He's starting to get it. And at this point, the Minecraft kid is starting to have a realization that not everything on the internet is real life. And he just looks at the people on the ground like, go about your day, guys. And he gets up. The Minecraft kid's like, all right, my bad. Go about your day. Minecraft kid gets up, starts walking away. And the teacher's like, hold it 1 second. Did you just tackle these kids? And the kids on the ground were like, I mean, I guess. Like, he kind of did. And at this point, the teacher's like, explain yourself. And at this point, the Minecraft kid's like, well, and then the Minecraft kid was really struggling to talk because he realized he had to explain to the teacher that he was trying to save these students from entering a new dimension full of evil beasts, which was her classroom, apparently. Subscribe. Now go watch another video. There's some on screen, some that are recommended. Go watch one. I'll be very happy. Goodbye. Today we have a story time of this Minecraft kid who thinks the Wither is actually real and out to get him. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. So sit back, relax, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's get right into it. So if you also want to send in a subscriber story, you can do so either to my Instagram or the Discord server. Both links are in the description. But the subscriber who sent in today's story, we're going to call him James. And as always, I get these names from the comment section, so leave a comment of a name you'd like me to use. It doesn't really matter. It can be your name, your mom's. I don't care. Anyways, right? So James, this happened to him back when he was in 2nd grade. James is, I think, in like 6th grade now or 7th grade or something. He's significantly older at this time. But this was back in the day when like Minecraft was all the rage. And I don't mean like the second wave, like more recently, like 2019. I mean like the 2014, 15, 16 kind of era of Minecraft. That was a beautiful period to enjoy Minecraft, in my opinion. But anyways, right, so at this point, James and his friends had just been discovering Minecraft. And we're going to call one of James's friends Minecraft Kid. And by the way, all these Minecraft Kid stories, they're not the same kid. I just call individuals Minecraft Kids. You got to understand that. Anyways, right, so one day James and his friends discover Minecraft, and it was like a huge new discovery to them. They all got super into it, but especially this one kid who we're calling the Minecraft Kid. He probably got the most into it out of all of them. So, you know, at least when I first discovered Minecraft, it was the coolest thing ever. Everything was interesting. You load into a world and you build a dirt hut. That is so like exhilarating. And now it's like run-of-the-mill whatever. But you know, they were exploring it, they were learning about things, and they didn't really have a ton of access to the internet at that time, as their parents obviously limited them. And the fact that they were even able to get Minecraft in the first place was pretty impressive for them. Like, they were surprised their parents budged that much. But yeah, so they were all able to install Minecraft, and they couldn't go on any multiplayer servers, and they didn't even know how to do that. That was way too technical for them. But they just went on one day and they were like building like a hut or whatever, like a dirt hut. They couldn't even really play together because they couldn't make a multiplayer server. They couldn't join like multiplayer or anything. But they were just all on their own worlds, building stuff and creating stuff. And, you know, on the first day of them doing that, they would build like their first dirt hut, and they'd come to school the next day, and James would be like, guys, I found iron. They'd be like, what? And he'd be like, yeah, I broke with a wooden pickaxe and it gave nothing. And they're like, dude, I think you won, bro. I think you beat the Minecraft. Basically, bro, like, I'm not trying to make fun of that, because honestly, that was probably the best era. Legitimately, that was the best era when everything was cool. But anyways, right, so they progress on throughout the game, and but one day, James and his friends have been playing Minecraft for like a couple weeks at this point, and one day James and his friends are hanging out at recess or whatever, or they're chilling during a free period. I don't think you had free periods in second grade. I'm pretty sure you had recess, but I don't know. It wasn't specified in the story that was sent to me. So anyways, right, they're chilling, and James and his friends are there, and then the Minecraft kid runs up to them frantically and is like panting. It's like, guys, I need to talk to you. And they're all just like, oh my God, dude, what's going on? Like, is everything okay? Are you good? Like, is someone like about to attack us? Is there a scary man in a white van trying to like get us all? Or like, what's the deal here, bro? And he looks at them. He's like, guys, I was playing Minecraft and I got access to the internet. And they're all like, because at this point, right, they don't really have access to the internet. He's like, I figured it out. I just had to go on quickly before my parents realized I was using the internet. Dude, to be fair, my mom didn't let me use the internet for a long time, and that is probably for the better. And I was reading this message place, this message board, and they were talking about this creature called the Wither, and they say if you make it in Minecraft, it'll come for you in real life. And bro, look, they were in second grade, so James and his friends were like, "Is this true?" Like, only in second grade would you not just flat out say, "Bro, it's a video game." You'd actually sit there, contemplate, and be like, is this legitimate? If I create this thing in Minecraft, will it spawn in the real life and come after me? Like, only in second grade, bro, would this ever happen. Which, like, I'm not even trying to, like, make fun of these kids, bro, because I was literally them. And to be fair, that was a great period in my life. But at this point, right, James and all of his friends kind of just take him at face value. And I know it sounds absurd, but like, bro, it's second grade, it is what it is. But at this point, right, the Minecraft kid, James, and all of his friends are standing there at recess, starting to freak out because they're like, dude, what if the Wither comes for us? And then James like, guys, hold on, like, you're fine, we're fine. As long as one of us doesn't make the Wither in Minecraft, there is not a chance that it will come after us. And even if we do, I am 90, 80, 50% certain that it won't actually happen. They're like, are you sure? It was on the internet. It has to be true. As you shall learn, not everything that's on the internet is real. But anyways, right, so they all went back home, and they were, after school, of course, and, they were kind of feeling okay, like they weren't feeling that worried. They were feeling as if they were safe, because none of them were going to go back and make the Wither in Minecraft. They just weren't going to do it. They didn't even know how to do it. And over the next couple days, they eventually learn about the Nether, and they build a Nether portal, and some of them go in, and they find all these new things, and it's pretty cool, right? They're exploring Minecraft. They learn about the Nether. And then several weeks later, they're just chilling at school, and it's James, the Minecraft kid, who was initially like really worried about this and brought the whole suspicion to them. Some of the other friends as well, they were just hanging out. I think they were on the swings or something. They were talking about like, oh, like, I just got like my first Minecraft dog yesterday. It like helps protect me against like enemies, and it's also just a nice pet to have around. They were talking about like, oh, maybe I've heard of like name tags you can find in chests or whatever. And then one of the friends, we're gonna call him Ben, because I only need to give him a name once, right? Ben like walks up towards them with this look of like guilt and also terror, and they're just like, dude, what is wrong? Because, like, something is definitely up. And Ben just looks at them with this guilty expression, this look of, like, I'm so sorry. And he just turns to them, he's like, guys, I've done something really bad. And they're all like, they start to get really nervous. They're like, no shot, he did it. No shot, he did it. He's like, guys, I was exploring the Nether. I was grinding for hours on the weekends, and I got, like, a bunch of, like, Wither skeleton skulls, and they're like start to panic because they learn like from like talking to some of the like the older kids at the school how to actually make a a Wither skeleton or a Wither. And they're like, no, dude, don't tell me. He's like, I had to see if it was true. And the second I put the last head on, it started to like shake and like color and glow, and it started to go up, and I just turned off my Minecraft game. I haven't been on since, but guys, I'm so sorry, but it's definitely coming for us now. And at this point, right, Ben, the Minecraft kid, James, and all the other guys are just panicking. They're freaking out. Real quick, comment Wither down below or comment the Wither. You can do either of them. I'm going to search the comments by the term Wither, and we'll be hearting as many of those as possible. So if you want to farm some hearts, maybe even get top commenter on the channel, make sure you comment Wither down below and leave a like if you haven't. If you want to claim your free nothing, man, I mean, that's a pretty good deal. Anyways, right, so at this point, James, Ben, the Minecraft kid, and all of their friends are terrified. So the bell rings and they have to go back to class. And they can't pay attention at all because in their mind, they think that at any moment they'll hear down the hallways like the whooshing sound of like the Wither when it spawns, or they'll see like Wither skeleton skulls fly. At this point, right, they read a myth online and they believed it to be true. And they have no idea how it's going to happen. But that almost makes it scarier because that means that the Wither could strike at any time and at any place. So James decides to take matters into his own hands, and James is one of the guys that he went up and actually talked to one of the older kids who did play Minecraft, and by older I mean like 4th or 5th grade. And James decided that he was going to go talk to the kid and really figure out like how to like defend himself from the Wither attack. And James explains the situation to this kid who's in 5th grade. And obviously this kid who's in 5th grade is just like in his head. He's like, this kid actually thinks the Wither is real and actually going to come out, almost like the myth of like Herobrine. Like the Herobrine was actually going to come and attack him if he made it in Minecraft. And he's like, this kid actually believes that the Wither is going to attack him in real life. And the kid is just thinking to himself, because like, you know, James is explaining the predicament. And explaining like, man, what do I do? So, right, this kid in 5th grade could have easily said, bro, that's not true. It's a myth that you read on the internet. Like, why would that even be true? But the kid decides to mess with him just a little bit more. And the 5th grader is like, bro, you did what? Oh my god, that's the first thing they teach you in Minecraft school. And he's like, you guys went to Minecraft school? And he's like, yeah, I totally did. It's totally real. And at this point, James is like, oh my god. And the older kid's like, bro, like, okay, there is a way to fix it. Just hear me out on this. And the older kid goes on to explain / make up on the spot that basically what needs to happen is Ben, the kid who spawned the Wither, right? He has to return to the world where he made the Wither in, and he has to fight it. And if he wins, then the curse is gone. But if he dies in Minecraft, they're all gonna die in real life. And at this point, right, James is like, bro, that's so much pressure, man. And the older kid's like, hey, you should have taken these precautions before spawning a Wither. So James runs back, tells his friends the unfortunate news, and they decide that night they're gonna like gear up and go to his friend's house. It was a Friday anyways, so like, you know, they just quickly explained that they wanted an impromptu sleepover. And yeah, James's mom was like, all right, well, I wish you guys gave me a little bit more heads up, but I was talking with the other moms and they think it's okay and we'll be hosting. So James, you know, tells the other friends, all right, bring your computers. We're going to do this. We're going to get him suited up and we're going to fight the Wither and we'll be free from this curse. And so, yeah, anyways, right, James and Ben and the Minecraft kid and all of the other, you know, friends, you know, they all go over to James's house and, you know, they get set up and, you know, they're preparing to open like the computer of, you know, Ben. And Ben's like, guys, I don't think I'm totally stacked. I don't know if I can do this. And they're like, dude, what do you have? He's like, I have an iron sword and iron armor. And they're like, oh my god, like that's not enough to defeat the Wither. And they're like, but you have to do it. And you know, at this point, Ben is like, all right, guys, this is it. I'm doing it. He opens up his laptop. You know, he fires up the Minecraft world. It's loading and they're all panicking. And when it opens up, right, the Wither is about to explode, because if you don't know, the Wither is like a boss in Minecraft that like when it starts actually like begins, there's like an explosion. And Ben is far enough away from the radius of the explosion that he doesn't take that much damage. But like boom, the Wither starts firing Wither skulls all around the place, blowing up nearby mobs and structures. And Ben is just like, oh my god, and just turns around and runs away. However, he's hit by one of the Wither skeleton skulls that has the Wither effect that is like still slowly taking damage away from Ben. And Ben's like, ah, the whole time. He's just running away, taking damage, being shot out, being blown apart by this Wither. And everyone's like, Ben, turn around, fight it, fight it, fight it. So eventually, right, Ben does turn around. He's on like 3 hearts left. And they're like, actually, no, run, run, run. And Ben's like, what do you want me to do? And then the Wither hits him. He's taking wither damage. He's on half a heart, and then boom, he dies. And they're all just completely silent at this point, because in their minds, that's a death sentence. They're all about to be executed by the wither at any second. So what happens is when this happens, no one says anything. And then they all run down the stairs screaming. And at this point, James's mom is like, what is going on? And James's mom is obviously pretty concerned at this point because all the kids come down screaming and like crying, and she's like, guys, what happened? And they're all like blabbering on like, we lost in a video game, now we're all gonna die because the weather's gonna come out. And she's like, one at a time, calm down, please. And James is like, mom, we're all gonna die. And she's like, bro, what are you talking about? Because she started to get a little concerned. And he's like, okay. And he basically explains that they're playing Minecraft and that they looked online and it said if they made this mob in Minecraft that it was gonna come after them. And the only way to defeat it, according to the older kid at school, was that if they were able to defeat it in Minecraft, and that Ben sucks at Minecraft, so he died to it, and now they're all gonna perish in real life. And James's mom is looking at them like, guys, that's not real. And they're like, but the internet said so. And then the older kid, he's like, yeah, the internet's full of lies and the older kid was messing with you. And they all stop like crying for a second. They're like, what? Subscribe if you haven't already, and now go watch another video. There's some on screen, some that recommended. Go watch one. I'll be very happy. We have a story time of a Minecraft kid who actually thought that creepers were real and embarrasses himself in front of everyone in his class during a trip to the dinosaur museum. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Sit back, relax, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's get right into it. The subscriber sent in today's story. We're going to call her Jade, and I got that name from the comment section. So if you want me to use your name, your friend's name, or really any name you want, leave it in a comment down below, and I'll do my best to try and use as many of those names as possible. Anyways, right, so this story happened to Jade when she was in 2nd grade, and she's a bit older now, so this was a little while back. But back when Jade was in 2nd grade, her class was doing this unit on dinosaurs and kind of dinosaurs, prehistoric era, everything like around that, fossils, all that good stuff. And they've been studying it for a while, and kind of the big thing for any 2nd grader at that school, and it was kind of known that like for the 2nd grade, their big thing that they would do is they would spend like about a month covering dinosaurs and the kind of the prehistoric age, and then at the end of their long kind of study, whatever, and I mean, it's 2nd grade, it's only so rigorous, but like at the end of the day, right, they spent a lot of time learning about dinosaurs, and kind of the big payoff for this big kind of month-long study is that they take a full day-long trip to a really big dinosaur museum that's somewhat near them. It's still like 45-minute bus ride away, but it's a pretty fun day, and it's kind of known for everyone in the school as like the big fun day that all the 2nd graders have. And at this point, right, it's about a week away, and Jade's getting pretty excited because it's a pretty big deal. And I'm going to introduce another character into this story. He is the Minecraft kid. There's nothing more I need to say besides he's in Jade's class, and things get very interesting very quickly. And anyways, right, a week passes and it's finally the day. It's the big day. They all kind of like get there kind of early that morning. Their school normally starts around 8, but for that day, they're asked to get there at 7, which a lot of the parents are a little, they wake up, drive up their kids, and they're all kind of cranky because they have to get up at 7 in the morning, which is a little inhumane. I'll be real. They don't have to get up at 7 in the morning. They have to get up at like 6 to drive their kids there at 7. But all the kids, when they get there, are like kind of like all wide-eyed and excited because, hey man, it's the big day. It's the dinosaur museum day. And so anyways, right, Jade, she goes in, and Jade has kind of a friend group of 2 other people, so it's kind of like a 3-person friend group, and they all walk onto the bus at the same time. And the thing is, right, the bus seats are by 2s, so they realize that, all right, so one of us is going to have to sit next to like the other 2. And they make it to about the middle row, and all the other seats behind them are filled, and they decide, you know what, let's just sit on this row. So the row has like 2 different sides, and the 2 of Jade's other friends take the 2 seats on the other side. So Jade is going to take the aisle seat on the other side of the bus, right? And there's a kid sitting in the window seat, and this kid happens to be, you guessed it, the Minecraft kid. Anyways, right, they sit down and Jade's two friends they kind of space off slash go to sleep because they're still a little bit tired. As excited they are, they're kind of tired and the thing is still like 30, 45 minutes away. So they kind of go to sleep, but Jade is kind of awake. She still has enough adrenaline in her to keep her up and she's kind of excited to go to the dinosaur museum. So she turns to the person next to her, which is the Minecraft kid who, she doesn't know that well, but, they're friendly enough because they are in the same class. And she kind of just says something to Minecraft kid along the lines of, hey, like, are you excited? The Minecraft kid said, yeah, this is a pretty big deal. I'm really hyped. I've, been thinking about it all night. I couldn't even really fall asleep that well last night. And she was like, yeah, honestly, same. This is going to be a really, like, exciting and fun day. And the Minecraft kid says, I'm so excited to go see, like, to try and find my favorite dinosaur of that period. And, the Jade is like, oh, that's really cool. And the Minecraft kid said, oh, before I tell you mine, what's yours? And I don't know, Jade says something, I don't know, pterodactyl or something. And then Jade's like, oh, what's your favorite Minecraft? What's your favorite Minecraft? No, we're getting to that in a second. What's your favorite dinosaur of the time period? And the Minecraft kid said, oh, I'm a big fan of the creeper. And she's like, oh, I haven't heard of that one. And the thing is, like, Jade had no idea what Minecraft was at this time, and it's only in, like, retrospective, looking back on this event, that she thought it was so funny what actually happened. But yeah, the Minecraft kid said, oh, yeah, it's like a green, it's a little small, it's, like, on all fours. And he doesn't say the part about how it explodes, right? He decides to leave that detail out, and Jade's like, oh, that's really cool. I don't remember us having a unit on it, but I must have just, like, not paid attention. We covered a lot of material. And yeah, the Minecraft kid's like, yeah, I really hope I'll find an exhibit, and if not, I'll ask around. And so anyways, right, they eventually get there, and they start, like, single file off the bus. So the teacher basically calls them all together, and they kind of get all huddled up in a group, and the teacher says, hey, guys, like, we're going to be walking around. Us teachers will be kind of walking around to make sure you guys don't get in trouble. But you more or less have free reign of whatever you want to do today. Go ahead, explore any exhibits you want to. Go try out anything. You must stay within the dinosaur museum itself. You can't leave it. Stay on the first 3 levels. If you have any problems, like, just come to the front desk, which is right over here, and points to where the front desk is on the first floor and says, and they'll be able to contact us as we've given them our numbers and the school's number. So yeah, anyways, guys, that's all we really wanted to say. Go off and have some fun. And the teacher says, oh, wait, one more thing. At 12, we'll be having lunch, so please return to the first floor for that. And then afterwards, for about 30 minutes, we're going to have a guided tour. And then for the next hour after that, you're free to go about and, like, look at whatever, sculptures like dinosaur footprints or museum, whatever you want to look at, feel free to do that afterwards. So anyways, right, Jade and her friends, they go off and they start looking around. And they're going around and they're looking at all the things that they learned and they're recognizing, and they go up and they see, like, real life dinosaur footprints, and then they walk around this kind of recreation of, like, the prehistoric era. So there's these, like, fake bushes and a big fake dinosaur statue, and it's actually pretty cool. And eventually they meet up with the Minecraft kid, who seems to be, like, frantically looking around. Okay, maybe not frantically, but is intensely kind of, like, pacing around trying to find something. And they kind of look at him, and Jade is like, hey, is everything okay? He's like, I can't find the creeper. Like, I can't find anything about the creeper. I've been looking for sculptures. I've been looking for any kind of information. I just can't seem to find anything. At this point, right, Jade had no idea that this was, in fact, not a dinosaur, but instead was a Minecraft character that the Minecraft kid assumed was real. And since there aren't any creepers around today, he assumed that since, spiders in Minecraft are real, skeletons are technically real, the creeper must have been real too and just, went extinct. So he was really looking forward to finding, the creeper exhibit at this dinosaur museum. And he keeps looking around, and Jade's like, hey man, like, maybe ask someone at the front desk. So eventually, right, lunch came around, and Jade and her friends, went down to the first floor, and they got all together, and the teacher said, hey, there's a lunch, you can stand in line for it, and then go sit down at the table. So they go in line, they get their lunch, and then they sit down at the table. The Minecraft kid, after like 10 minutes, he gets there kind of late, because apparently he's busy trying to find the creeper, exhibit part of the museum. And the teacher's like, Jade is too far away to audibly hear what the teacher says, but the teacher's like, hey, like, the teacher looked a little upset that the Minecraft kid was so late, and then the teacher points to the food and then points to the tables, and the Minecraft kid gets some food and then sits down at the table, and Jade's like, oh, were you successful in finding the creeper exhibit? Remember, at this point, Jade has no idea what Minecraft is. So she legitimately thinks, like, the creeper is some more kind of, I don't know, niche, obscure dinosaur from back in the day. And she just is like, oh, did you find the exhibit for your favorite dinosaur? Because she was able to find an exhibit with her favorite dinosaur, so she just honestly felt bad. The Minecraft kid so far has been able to say that creepers are dinosaurs to, Jade, because she doesn't know any better. But the Minecraft kid is about to ask the tour guide and be like really persistent about it in front of literally everyone, and it's pretty funny. But I don't want to interrupt the flow of the video, so I'm going to do the little comment thing now. Comment Ben. I'll heart your comment if you do it. And also, feel free to comment Ben multiple times. Like, you can go down and comment it like 5 different times. I guess there's a more decent shot I'll actually see your comment and heart it. Either way, if you don't get a heart, don't feel bad. I'm going to heart as many as I possibly can, just to say thank you guys so much for watching. And also, like, if you haven't already done so, join the Discord, link in the description. You can submit stories there and also talk to me occasionally. Anyways, right, back to the story. So lunch is over, and now it's the, like, mandatory 30-minute tour guide. And so the tour guide's like, all right, guys, so we're going to go around and check out all the exhibits and just, like, go over things. And if you guys ever have any questions, just let me know. And before he's even able to finish that sentence, bro, the Minecraft kid, his hand shoots up, and the tour guide's like, yeah, what's up? And the Minecraft kid said, when are we going to see the creeper exhibit? And everyone kind of just looks at him. And the thing is, right, while Jade didn't know what a creeper was, most of the guys and a lot of the girls in his class actually did know what a creeper was. Even if they didn't play Minecraft that much, they were at least aware. And some people started to laugh. And the Minecraft kid looks at him like, kind of like with this look of like, why are you laughing at me? Like, I simply asked the question, where's the creeper exhibit? Which, like, as if, like, no one's gonna, like, laugh at that a little bit, but whatever, right? And the tour guide, like, Jade had no idea what a creeper was, so kind of gave him this look of, like, what are you talking about? And he's like, I don't understand what you mean. And he was like, well, I'm just wondering when, because, like, we're seeing the pterodactyl, we're seeing dinosaur footprints, when are we gonna see the creeper exhibit? And once again, the tour guide kind of just looks at him, and the Minecraft kid kind of gives him this look. He's like, oh, this museum sucks. It doesn't even have a creeper exhibit. At this point, right, the teacher's like, Minecraft kid, obviously says his name. We'll just give him a name, right? We'll just call him Minecraft kid. The teacher was like, Minecraft kid, don't say that. And for some reason, right, the Minecraft kid must have been super excited to see the creeper exhibit at the dinosaur museum and was just really upset and disappointed that they didn't have one, that he kind of went on this tirade and he kind of stuck with it. And he was like, well, what do you mean stop? I mean, this is a museum, right? This is supposed to be the biggest, the greatest dinosaur museum of all time, and they don't even have a creeper exhibit. This place sucks. And at this point, it's like super, super awkward because the tour guide's just kind of standing there like, dude, I have no idea what you're talking about. Everyone in the class is kind of looking at him like he's crazy because they know what a creeper is, bro. They know what a creeper is, and they also don't, you know what else they know? They know that a creeper isn't real. And the Minecraft kid looks at the tour guide straight on and is like, how could you work at such a fraudulent facility? This place is disgraceful. I bet the dinosaurs would be ashamed if they knew that you were doing this, which is just kind of funny, but hey man, it's a second grader. They're bound to say stuff like that. And at this point, right, the teacher's like super embarrassed, and the teacher goes up and like looks at the Minecraft kid and is like, stop, I don't know what you're doing, but stop it. And, she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry about this. And at this point, right, another kid in the class speaks up, and he looks directly at the Minecraft kid, and he's like, dude, what are you talking about? You know that creepers are fictional, right? And the Minecraft kid's like, does fictional mean, like, prehistoric era only? And then the kid's like, no, dude, fictional means fake. Like, they're not real. And the Minecraft kid's like, That's ridiculous, man. Spiders are real. Skeletons are real. Why wouldn't creepers be real? They're probably just extinct. You don't know what you're talking about. And at this point, right, the teacher looks at the other kid and is like, well, what do you mean fake? Is it from a video game? It looks at the Minecraft kid and is like, are you making a scene about a video game? At this point, right, Jade is starting to put 2 and 2 together that no, creepers are not actually real, as everyone has no idea what they are. And in fact, probably from a video game, and yes, they are. At this point, right, the Minecraft kid is starting to realize that his logic of, if I don't see them now, they must be prehistoric and extinct, maybe doesn't hold up, because he's like, oh yeah, the Ender Dragon probably isn't real, and the Wither probably isn't real. And he's like, uh-oh. And he just realizes, right, that he just made a huge scene, called the tour guide like a fraud and a phony, just because his museum didn't have a creeper exhibit. And the Minecraft kid looks right up at the teacher, who's just eyeing him like, dude, you've kind of messed this up. You've embarrassed us all. And all of a sudden, right, the Minecraft kid feels this like hand on the collar of his shirt, and he looks up, and the teacher has grabbed his shirt and starts pulling him away. And Jade is watching the whole thing happen, and the Minecraft kid basically gets pulled away from making a scene, and the tour guide is like, all right, well, let's continue on. So our first exhibit, ... whatever goes on to explain it. And essentially, right, the Minecraft kid got told that he's got to sit down because of like the big scene he made, and that he's not grounded. I don't know what to say. He's not like in suspension or anything, but he basically has to sit there at lunch for the rest of the duration of the field trip because he made a scene over Minecraft creepers not being in a dinosaur museum, which is, if you're going to make a scene, man, at least have it be something real. And for like the rest of that school year, whenever the teacher would be like, all right, now we're going to learn about whatever, and she'd be like, any questions? Some like kid in the class would always raise their hand and be like, yo, when are we going to learn about the creepers? And then everyone would like start laughing. So unfortunately, right, the Minecraft kid kind of became the laughing stock for the rest of second grade, but he learned a pretty valuable lesson, and that is creepers are not real. I kind of feel like you wouldn't have to learn that lesson, but apparently you do. Subscribe if you haven't already. Now go watch another video. There's some on screen, some that recommended. Go watch one. I'll be very happy by. Today we got a story time of a Minecraft kid who actually thought the back rooms were real and had a complete freak out at the sleepover, and it was quite hilarious. So yeah, sit back, relax, leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's get right into it. I got today's story from a subscriber who we're going to call John, and I got the name John from the comment section down below. So as always, if you want me to use your name or your friend's name or really any name you want, literally just leave it in a comment down below. I look through the comments all the time to find a name to use in a video. So yeah, go ahead and do that. And anyways, right, so John, the subscriber, he told me this story that happened kind of recently. So if you don't know, recently there was like a viral video about the back rooms that went out. It was actually kind of like a mini series done by someone who did a really, really great job. I'm pretty sure I'll leave a link in the description, or at least some information in the description, so you can go watch that video if you'd like. But anyways, right, that video was so good that it actually convinced a lot of people that the back rooms were actually real. In fact, I did a video a couple days ago about another subscriber who sent in a story that the back rooms video actually made one of his friends believe it. And I guess he's not alone, because today we have a story from the subscriber about how his friend saw that video, believed the back rooms were real, and had a complete freak out at his sleepover. But anyways, right, so this happened to John, the subscriber. And one day, right, he was just like, chilling with his friends, having a pretty good time. And, we're just going to call this friend the Minecraft kid, because he was just known for, he was like known as like the Bed Wars sweat in the class or whatever. So for that reason, we're just going to call him the Minecraft kid, right? So anyways, right, John, the Minecraft kid, and a couple other of their boys, right, they're going to have a good time. They're excited. They're friends. Life is good. And they want to have a sleepover, right? So yeah, they talk to their parents, and sure enough, that weekend they can have a sleepover. Life is good, man. Things are good. Well, life was good until a couple days before the sleepover. Let's just call it like Wednesday or something. The Minecraft kid discovers the videos in the back rooms. And real quick, for some of you guys who don't know, the back rooms are kind of like an internet legend where you can essentially, like, if you're not careful, you can no-clip, which is a video game term, but basically you can phase out of reality into these endless rooms that are very similar to a kind of a dank, musty 1980s office that just keeps going on and on and on and repeating itself. And that was kind of an internet legend that happened a little while ago, but more recently there was a video that someone made that was like kind of a not a live action, but it was like a film project that was really well done. And I suggest everyone watch it. But the thing is, a lot of people watched it, and on the younger side, a lot of people were like, wow, this is actually really believable. And the Minecraft kid was one of those kids. So the Minecraft kid ends up watching this video, and the next day he comes into school. And, the subscriber, John, is just kind of chilling there, having a good time, excited for the sleepover that's happening that weekend. And what happens, right, is, his friend comes up to him, the Minecraft kid comes up to him, and John is looking at him. The Minecraft kid's, his eyes are, like, wide, and the Minecraft kid's like, oh, man, I'm so worried. By the way, if you like story videos, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel. It's free, and you can always change your mind later. Anyways, right, so, he comes up to John. He's like, John, oh my God, And John just kind of looks at the Minecraft kid like, bro, like, what is up? Like, are you good, man? Like, is everything okay? You're looking really sweaty. Like, are things okay? And the Minecraft kid's like, John, do you know about the back rooms? And John looks at him. He's like, yeah, the internet legend. He's like, no, John, you don't understand, man. These things are real. And John looks at him like, bro, what are you talking about, man? Like, it's like a meme or like an internet legend. It's one of those creepypastas, man. Don't tell me you're gonna say that like every other creepypasta that's ever existed is now real. Oh yeah, Sonic.exe, that's real. Jeff the Killer, yeah, that's real, man. Yeah, anything that's on the internet is real because lesson 1 of the internet is anything you see is legit. But, John can't convince the Minecraft kid that what he saw wasn't reality. And the Minecraft kid was convinced that, he was like, John, I'm sorry that you're so naive right now, but, it's dangerous. Like, and I will convert you. Like, you will see the truth. And that was kind of a weird cultish kind of thing to say, but whatever, right? He's like, John, you will see the truth. Like, trust me. I will show you the truth. I will show you the way. And, John's just like, all right, bro, like, whatever. Part of, like, John was thinking that this whole thing was kind of like an elaborate troll by the Minecraft kid. But then again, they were, they are, because not were, this happened recently, they are, like, in 5th grade. And, John's, like, not, like, he's a 5th grader, but he's still mature enough to know that, like, internet memes or internet creepypasta, they're not real, man. It's just not true. They're just not real. But the thing is, right, his friend had a bit more of a, let's just call it an active imagination, to put it lightly. And he has kind of done nothing like to this extreme before, but it wouldn't have been completely unbelievable, to John at least, that his friend, the Minecraft kid, would have believed this to be true. That's all I'm saying. Anyways, right, so, John doesn't really think anything more of this, and sure enough, the sleepover comes, and, he completely forgets about this encounter until a little bit later, as you guys will see. But anyways, it's the day of the sleepover, so, everyone's coming over to John's house, and everything is totally normal at first. Like, everything is normal. Like, there's nothing weird. The Minecraft kid is just acting normal, or as normal as the Minecraft kid had ever acted before. And, John really thought nothing of it. And this kind of seemed like there was going to be no story until later that night. So anyways, right, it's whatever. They stay up for a decent amount of time. And, John's mother comes up and says, hey, guys, like, glad you're having fun, but it's probably time for you guys to go to bed. Like, it's getting pretty late. Like, alrighty now. Like, let's wrap things up here. And they're like, okay, whatever, right? Fair enough. It's like 11 or something, and we're in 5th grade. We go to bed early, whatever. And so, yeah, they're brushing their teeth. They're getting ready. And John is just brushing his teeth when he looks over and sees the Minecraft kid in his room staring at something. And it's just very, very strange. And he doesn't know why he feels so weird about it. But in retrospect, he was 100% on the money. Minecraft kid was up to some nonsense, bro. Real quick, right, so the secret word of the day is backrooms. So comment backrooms, BACKROOMS, 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 times. If you're super cool, you'll comment it 5 times. So I'm going to go through and heart a bunch of random people who comment. I can't heart them all at this point. I just have a lot of things going on and also a lot of comments, which I appreciate. But if you want to, up your odds of getting, a heart, just comment it more times. Don't do it more than 5 times, though. I don't want YouTube to, remove your comments or whatever, or ban you from commenting. But I think 5 is a pretty decent number, so comment backrooms in the comments. And anyways, right, so the subscriber John, he doesn't know why he feels so weird about the Minecraft kid kind of staring at something, but in retrospect, it all makes a ton of sense. And John, the subscriber, was 100% on point that something weird was brewing. But anyways, right, so, they brush their teeth, and the Minecraft kid eventually comes into the room and is, kind of very quiet for some reason. He's just, weird. And it's John, the subscriber. He just doesn't know why the Minecraft kid is acting so weird and strange, but he really doesn't really think anything of it at the time. He just notices it, kind of makes, a mental note of it, but doesn't think anything of it at the time. In retrospect, makes a ton of sense. And the Minecraft kid, he's just acting weird. And he doesn't, John is like, all right, guys, so let's go to bed. And John gets into his bed, and the Minecraft kid and the 2 other guys that are with them, they brought sleeping bags and they plop them on the floor. And, they John turns off the lights, and he expects that the next time that he opens his eyes will be, at 7 in the morning or at 9 in the morning or whatever, and to go down and eat some breakfast. But that is not the case because, he's middle of a dream. John's sitting there just like, enjoying his sleep, and he's like shaking, and he feels like he's moving back and forth. And he looks up, and it's the Minecraft kid. And the Minecraft kid is like sweating and like freaking out a little bit. And John is like really like startled by this because like your friend just came up to you and is like you're awoken by your friend shaking you like something is wrong, something is wrong. And the Minecraft kid, John, is just like, oh my god, like what's up? And the Minecraft kid's like, dude, I told you it was real. And at this point, like John's like, dude, what are you talking about, man? Like, what are you saying? And the Minecraft kid's like, dude. Just come with me. Come look. And at this point, like, John's terrified. He has no idea what he's about to show him. And the Minecraft kid brings him out to his hallway and points towards, like, a door or, like, a door to a room. And there's, like, yellow light coming out of it. And one of the things I'd like you need to know is in the back rooms, it's kind of like that kind of dingy yellow corporate lighting from the 80s. And it just, like, isn't a good lighting job. But the problem is, right, that's a pretty common light. Like, that type of lighting, it's not the greatest and it doesn't look that good. It still is pretty common. That's all I gotta say. It's still pretty common lighting. So, yeah, sure enough, the Minecraft kid points at this door and is like, John, the back rooms, they're real. At this point, John is like starting to really wake up and comprehend what's happening. And he realizes that his friend is pointing at one of his rooms in his house that he probably just forgot to turn the light off. And he woke him up terrified, right? Assuming that the back rooms are real and it's proof. And so John is like, dude, that's just, he's like, dude, that's just a room. Like, it's just a room in my house. And John's like, no, it's not. Or not John, the Minecraft kid. So John's like, all right, whatever, dude. And, John goes up into the room, turns off the light, and is like, bro, it's literally just a storage closet. Like, it's nothing. And, this Minecraft kid's like, dude, I'm sorry. I thought it was, I don't know what's up with me. And John, starts feeling a little compassionate for his friend. He's like, you know what, man, it's okay. You're probably just like freaking out about something. Let's just go back to the room. Let's try and be quiet just so we don't wake up the other guys. I'm going to go in my closet. I'm going to try and find a night light, just plug it in, and then we'll just all go to bed and things will be good. And John's like, yeah, man, I'm so sorry about this. Thank you. So they go in, right? And sure enough, right, John goes to the closet, turns on the closet light, and then the Minecraft kid starts screaming, the back rooms! No! John, don't fall for it! At this point, the other two kids who were blissfully sleeping are just rudely awoken. And they're just like, oh, God, well, what's happening? And John's like, dude, what are you talking about? And then John looks at the closet, right? And he realizes, because he turned on the light to look for the night light, and he realizes that the light to the closet is the same kind of dingy yellow. And then at this point, right, the Minecraft kid's like, John, it's a trap. Don't fall for it. You're going to fall into the back rooms. No clip out of And at this point, John turns around. He's like, dude, it's just the closet light. At this point, everyone's like looking up. And because they're like, what's going on? What's going on? And John's like, bro, is this what you were staring at earlier? The closet light? And the Minecraft kid is just kind of looking at John like, I'm an idiot. Because at this point, right, the Minecraft kid, who has a very active imagination, to put it lightly, is now very much aware that, both times, and probably more embarrassingly the second time, it was just a lighting choice. It wasn't actually the back rooms, opening up to swallow them whole or anything like that. And yeah, sure enough, the Minecraft kid is just like, yo, bro, I'm sorry. And at this point, like, the other two guys are like, dude, why am I awake right now? Like, it's 12. It's literally midnight, bro. Like, why am I awake right now? And sure enough, like, John is like, all right, whatever. He goes in the closet, turns the light on again because he turned it off to, like, prove it's not the back rooms. And no, the Minecraft kid did not freak out a third time, even though that would be pretty funny. He finds the night light, plugs it in, and they go to sleep and they wake up the next day. And the Minecraft kid kind of pulls John aside after they eat breakfast, which was pancakes, which are just such a good way to start the morning. He pulls him aside. He's like, dude, I'm so sorry. I don't know what got into me. And John's like, bro, don't even worry about it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Now go watch another video. There's some on screen, some in the recommended section. Go watch one. Make me very happy. Today we got a story time of a Minecraft kid who freaks out in class because he thinks Huggy Wuggy, yeah, like the big blue monster thing from that video game, is real and out to get him. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, and let's just jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber Alex, and I got that name from the comment section, so leave a comment for any name you want me to use. But anyways, Alex told me the story about this time of when this Minecraft kid had basically this massive freak out in class because he thought Huggy Wuggy, as I showed you a photo earlier, that kind of like that blue monster from that video game, was actually real. And you might be thinking, Connor, how did he even fall for this in the first place? Well, anyways, here's part one of what happened. Part one is actually tricking the Minecraft kid into believing it. And the subscriber was not the one who ended up tricking the Minecraft kid, because that's, I don't know, that's a little bit mean. I'll be honest, it just feels like a little bit mean to me, and the subscriber also feels that way, or I'm just going to call him Alex from this point on. But there's this kid in the class, right? So there's Alex, there's the Minecraft kid, and then there's also the kind of, we're just going to call him the bully guy. He's known for being kind of mean, for like, you know, I don't know, tricking people, pranking people, but also kind of doing it in like mean-spirited ways. And in part one of this story, essentially what happens is, right, the bully guy, he's, you know, he's bored one day, and he knows the Minecraft kid is kind of gullible, and he's known as the Minecraft kid because he plays a ton of Minecraft, and that's kind of his personality, which, you know, when you're in second grade, which is what grade they were in, man, like, I don't know, it's a cool game. That's fine if that's your personality. But anyways, right, one day, the bully was kind of just like chilling in class, and he was getting bored, and he wanted to mess with someone, and he knew that the Minecraft kid was pretty gullible, and, you know, he was like, you know what? Let's try and convince this kid about that, you know, Huggy Wuggy is actually like a real thing. You know, for me, back in the day, for a little bit, I believed in this thing called like Bloody Mary. Essentially, back in my day, there was a little legend going around that if at 3 a.m., yes, before 3 a.m. became kind of a meme, if you went into your bathroom mirror at 3 a.m. with the lights off and said Bloody Mary's name three times, she'd appear behind the mirror and then end you. Like, it was something like that. I know that sounds really dumb, but bro, I was in second grade and I kind of believed it. So once again, right, the bully is like, you know what? We're going to make the Minecraft kid believe that, yes, Huggy Wuggy is like a legitimate urban legend and will actually, you know, come after him if something happens. And the bully kind of doesn't just want to scare him a little bit. He also wants to embarrass him in front of the whole class. So when the bully comes up with this idea, he feels pretty proud of himself. He feels pretty confident. He's pretty excited, you know. So he turns to both his friend, who we're going to call Ben, and also the subscriber, aka Alex, right? And Alex isn't necessarily friends with the bully. He just is like on okay grounds with him. And the bully turns to Ben and Alex and is like, hey, I have a pretty funny idea. So you see him over there, points to the Minecraft kid. I'm going to convince him that Huggy Wuggy is real. And at this point, Alex is like, like, that's fine, like, whatever, do what you want. But then the bully says, and then I'm going to do this. The bully goes on to explain to Ben and Alex that he's going to tell the Minecraft kid that Huggy Wuggy will only spawn when a teacher talks about something called the Black Death. If you don't know, that was something like the Black Plague or whatever. That was something that happened in like the 1600s or maybe earlier, I kind of forget, where there's a disease that wiped out a lot of people on the planet. And the bully knew that they were really close to covering it in history class. And he was going to explain to the Minecraft kid that across schools, across the country, right, that talking about, like, you know, the Black Plague or the Black Death or whatever was banned because they, like, the teachers knew it would spawn, like, Huggy Wuggy, this evil creature, whatever, which sounds ridiculous, but man, they were in second grade. And essentially, the bully was going to, you know, show him, try and convince him of, you know, Huggy Wuggy's existence, and then tell him if the teacher, you know, says anything about the Black Death or the Black Plague, he will spawn and, you know, end us all or whatever, knowing very well that the teacher was about to hop onto a unit about, like, you know, the Black Plague, and most likely the Minecraft kid would have had a massive freak out in class. So Ben, the bully's friend, was like, ha ha ha, that's so funny, whatever. But Alex, the subscriber, was like, all right, man, you know, I don't know, that sounds a little mean, but, you know, do what you want to do. And, you know, Alex kind of goes back to, you know, living his life or whatever. But, he is close enough to, both the Minecraft kid and, Ben, or not Ben, but the bully guy, to hear what the bully says to the Minecraft kid to try and convince him. So anyways, right after that conversation, the bully goes on his phone and finds some kind of like scary video of like a clip from the video game where Huggy Wuggy like jumps out and attacks like the player, but make sure not to show that it doesn't show any part that, I don't know, shows that it's in a video game or shows that it's a YouTuber. So he goes ahead and he goes on this like downloader app. He downloads the video from YouTube and then he cuts it so it's just like, the Huggy Wuggy jump scare or whatever. He's like, all right, this is my proof and I'm going to go up to the Minecraft kid and try and convince him. So anyways, right, the bully does go up to the Minecraft kid and the bully's like, man, I got something really, really important to tell you. And the Minecraft kid's like, oh, bro, what's up? Like, what's going on? He's like, hey, man, this is just like, I need to get the word out about this. It's like for the safety of others. He's like, dude, my cousin had a friend who went to this school, and in this school, they didn't get the message. And, the Minecraft kid's like, what do you mean they didn't get the message? And the bully's like, they didn't get the message not to talk about the Black Plague. And, Minecraft kid's like, oh, I don't know what that is. He's like, okay, so here's basically what happened. For some reason, right, across the country, whenever, teachers were talking about, trying to teach their kids about the Black Plague, this creature, this big blue creature would just appear and you would just end them all. And just look, and he shows them a video. He doesn't call the creature Huggy Wuggy, right? Because it's like, that's a little like, that might throw him off a little bit. The name is a little bit too cutesy. He's like, I'll leave that out. And then like, the Minecraft kid is like, oh my God. But then the Minecraft kid's like, wait a minute. Why haven't I heard about this? And, the bully like thinks for a second. He's like, oh, shoot. And he's like, oh, the government, they're trying to cover it up, man, because it would be mass hysteria. We'd literally have a civil war. Why would we have a civil war? I don't know. It sounded scary and hyperbolic, so might as well say that. But anyways, the bully's like, they tried to cover it up, but my cousin, he had a friend, and his friend, like, he was leaving to go to the bathroom as the big blue monster came in and ended all of his friends. He was able to escape, and, the FBI came to his house and said that he couldn't tell anyone. And, but, he needed to get the word out just in case. He said, if a teacher, right, if for some reason our teacher has not gotten the word and they start teaching us about the Black Plague, right, you have to get up and you have to stop them at all costs. I just need to let more people know. And at this point, right, the Minecraft kid's like, oh man, like, thanks for letting me know. I appreciate that. And the bully just like, he puts both hands on the Minecraft kid's shoulders and looks him directly in the eyes. And he's like, just remember, if you have to take one thing away from what I'm saying, if our teacher starts talking about the Black Death, the Black Plague, whatever you want to call it, you'll know it when you hear about it. This is what's going to happen to all of us. And he reaches back into his pocket, pulls out his phone, goes into his videos, and shows him the video again. At this point, right, the Minecraft kid is completely convinced. And just remember, the Minecraft kid was already kind of gullible, plus they were all in second grade. Normally, if you did this to like some random like high schooler, yeah, it wouldn't work. But bro, the Minecraft kid, at this point, he was both terrified and convinced. So the bully walks back, the bully walks over to, back to his table, and he's kind of like smiling, and he looks over at Ben and kind of gives him like a high five or whatever. And, Alex, the subscriber's looking at this like, bro, this kid's kind of a jerk, if I'm being honest. So nothing really happens for the rest of that day, and nothing actually happens for a couple more days. But about 3 days later, they all get into class, they sit down, right? Alex, the subscriber, has more or less kind of forgotten about what has happened in the last couple days, and is just kind of like thinking about like normal things. And he's like, oh, I wonder what we're going to learn about in history today. And sure enough, the teacher goes up and he's like, all right, class, we've reached that period in history where we're going to be talking about the Black Plague. And at this point, right, as soon as Alex heard those words, everything kind of like snapped back into him and remembered exactly what the bully's plan was. And Alex looked over at the Minecraft kid, and he was able somehow to see at the angle he was able to see the Minecraft kid's face. And the Minecraft kid's face was like completely pale, like in complete shock. And the Minecraft kid was about to act. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, which if you're hearing this, you did, comment Huggy Wuggy down below. That's 2 words, by the way. I just want to see how many people made it this far into the video, as I really, really do appreciate people who watch my videos. And also, if you haven't already done so, consider subscribing. It'll make me very happy, and you'll get 0 seconds of good luck, which is a fantastic deal. Anyways, back to the video. Anyways, right, sure enough, Alex, the subscriber, is sitting there like, oh no, like the Minecraft kid, what is he gonna do? And yes, sure enough, right, the Minecraft kid, he gets up and he literally says, no! Like he just screams out no in front of everyone. And everyone kind of just like goes super silent because they're just like, why did this kid just scream out no? The teacher's face is this look of like complete shock and confusion with a little bit of horror because he's just like, oh my God, why did this kid just get up in front of everyone and scream, no? Because at this point, right, the teacher and nobody else besides the bully, Ben, and, the subscriber, Alex, have any idea about why any of this is going on. And, right, the bully and Ben are trying so hard not to laugh right now. Alex, like, looks over and takes, like, a peek and says, yeah, these kids are trying not to laugh so hard. By the way, don't worry, the bully's going to get some karma in just a second, but it's towards the end, but he does get karma. Don't worry. What goes around comes around, just as Justin Timberlake said, baby. Don't worry about it. And the teacher finally, after being kind of like shocked for a second, looks at the Minecraft kid and says, what are you talking about? And the Minecraft kid's like, no, don't talk about, the Black Plague. And the teacher's like, it's in our unit. Why do you not want? He's like, a big blue monster. He's gonna come eat us all. And at this point, right, the class is just like, what the heck? What is going on right now, man? What is going on? And the teacher looks at the Minecraft kid and is like, come again? And the Minecraft kid's like, you don't understand. There's this creature, this big blue creature that, he's going around from school to school. And if the teachers talk about, the Black Plague, he comes and ends them all. And at this point, right, the teacher's like, Minecraft kid. He says his actual name. He's like, Minecraft kid. That is obviously not true. Also, I just said, the Black Plague. If that was true, wouldn't there be a big blue creature coming out right now? And sure enough, no, Huggy Wuggy did not appear from the ceiling and, like, FNAF-style jump scare them all. That just didn't happen. Sure enough, believe it or not, and yeah, the Minecraft kid is, like sitting there, still kind of panicked, freaking out. He's like, and then, like, the Minecraft kid is starting to realize how ridiculous of a statement because he kind of did it on instinct. He was thinking about it because for like the last 2 days he was having like nightmares about like the big blue monster, which happened to be like Huggy Wuggy or whatever, right? And he's like, oh my, and he was freaking out about it. So the second that the teacher said like the kind of the key word that was supposed to like doom them all, he freaked out. But after he said it out loud in front of everyone, he kind of realized how dumb it was, and he kind of sat back down. He's like, sorry teacher, I don't know what got into me. At this point, right, the whole class starts laughing. And the subscriber, Alex, he's not having it. He's like, nah, man, this Minecraft kid, he's not a bad kid. I'm not for this. And anyways, right, the bully and Ben, his friend, are just laughing so hard right now. Even the teacher giggles a little bit, which fair enough, right? It's kind of wild what just happened. He's like, all right, class, don't worry about a big blue monster coming out to destroy us all. I can promise you personally that will not happen. And then everyone laughs again a little bit, and then they go on to actually go into a history lesson. And, sure enough, right, Alex is sitting there throughout the entire class. He was thinking to himself, man, this is not right. Like, that was wrong. Like, that kid did not deserve that. So eventually, right, the class ends, and everyone gets up, and they go off to their next class. But Alex, he kind of, like, takes a little longer to pack up his stuff so that, like, naturally everyone will leave before him. And he's kind of there, he puts his stuff into the bag, and the teacher's sitting at his desk, kind of like looking at his paperwork or whatever, getting ready for his next class. And Alex, the subscriber, goes up and says, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And the teacher's like, yeah, sure. And Alex then goes on to explain everything. He kind of goes on to explain everything that I told you in this story, and the teacher is looking at him the whole time like, all right, good to know. And yeah, sure enough, right, the teacher thinks about it and is like, yeah, that was kind of mean. That was kind of mean of the bully guy. And the bully guy had a history of doing stuff like this before. Maybe, if it was a kid who was like genuinely known as like a good kid and he just thought it'd be kind of funny to have a little prank or whatever, he would get away with it, maybe just with a little talk or something. But no, this kid had a history of being kind of a massive jerk. So yeah, sure enough, the teacher's like, all right, thank you for letting me know. I will handle this. Yeah, and sure enough, later that day, Alex, the subscriber, is kind of walking in the hallways, and the bully isn't near him, but he hears on the loudspeaker, and it's like says the bully's name, but he's like, "Can bully insert last name please come to the front office?" I repeat, can bully insert last name? It's first name, last name. You know what I mean? We'll say like bend over. So I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I've seen that comment so many times. Anyways, can like I don't know, Ben, Steve, or whatever come to the front office if that was the name of the bully. And sure enough, right, the bully got a pretty big talking to. And while he didn't necessarily get suspended, apparently, he was on very, very thin ice. And if he did anything like that again, like, he was going to be like in school suspension for a couple days. And also his mom got called and was told all about that, which I don't know, man. Sometimes that's the worst punishment of them all. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe and go watch another video if you're bored. Today we have a story time of a kid who thinks a Freddy Fazbear is real, in his house, and out to get him. Yeah, I'm not even kidding. Leave a like on the video to claim your free nothing, subscribe, and let's get right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who sent in this story, we're going to call him Dylan. And by the way, I got that name from the comment section, so leave a comment down below of any names you want me to use. And this story all started one night when Dylan was babysitting this kid in his neighborhood. So Dylan got to the house and, the kid's mom, and we're just going to call the kid Ben because I use Ben for every, other name. It's kind of a meme on the channel at this point. Anyways, right, so the kid, aka Ben, his mom came down, greeted him at the door because, Dylan got to the door, rang the doorbell, and, Ben's mom greeted him. And she's like, "Oh, thank you so much for coming. I know this is kind of on short notice, but I really, really do appreciate it. All you got to do is just, hang out with, Ben's already been fed. You don't have to give him dinner. All you got to do is just hang out with him for a couple hours. His bedtime is at 9, and afterwards, just kind of stay in the house till we get back, which is going to be around 11 or so, and I really, really do appreciate this." And Dylan's like, "Oh, it's no problem at all. Ben's a great kid." Because this is the second or third time that Dylan has babysat for Ben. Ben's mom is friends with Dylan's mom. They're not super close, but they're friendly enough, right? So anyways, right, it's kind of like a routine babysitting gig. And sure enough, Ben's mom leaves to go do whatever she's going to go ahead and do. And it's time for Dylan to start babysitting Ben at this point. And, it's pretty normal in the very beginning. Things are kind of chilling until things start to get a little bit weird. So for some reason, I don't remember exactly what, Dylan was like, "Oh, want me to go get whatever?" And, Ben was like, "Yeah, no, that sounds like a good idea." And Dylan's like, "All right, well, that's probably in the basement, so I'm going to go down there." And when, Dylan says, "I'm going to go down to the basement," Ben looks at him and goes, "No, you can't do that." And, Dylan was really just startled by this because Dylan had gone in the basement before because that's why he knew where whatever he was trying to get was. And, this had never been an issue before. And also Ben was he wasn't necessarily a quiet kid, but he wasn't known to have random outbursts for no good reason. So, Dylan was both concerned and confused. So, Dylan turned to Ben and was like, "Dude, what's wrong? Is everything okay?" And Ben is just looking at him like, You don't understand what's down there, man. You don't know what I've seen." And at this point, right, Dylan's just kind of looking at him like, "Bro, what are you talking about? Is the boogeyman down there? Is a big scary monster down there?" And the kid, aka Ben, is just looking at him like, "You're not going to believe me, but Freddy Fazbear is down there." And at this point, right, Dylan, he knows what Five Nights at Freddy's is. If you don't know, Freddy Fazbear is one of the animatronic characters from this video game. Five Nights at Freddy's, very fun game. I used to really enjoy it as a kid. But anyways, right, Dylan was aware of what that game was. He was at least aware. And he was like, "Ben, there's 0% chance that Freddy Fazbear is down there." And Ben looks at him like, "Dude, no, you don't understand." So Dylan kind of has a smirk on his face, and he looks at Ben and he's like, "All right, you want to make a bet? I'm going to go down there, and I bet you a firm high five, right, that I will find 0 animatronics. I won't find Freddy Fazbear. I won't find Chica. I won't find any of those guys down there. I bet you a whole high five that, I'll find no one down there." And, look, obviously Dylan like was just trying to like calm Ben's nerves because he felt bad. Ben was like 9 or something, so active imagination, if you like to say the least. And Ben was looking at him all kind of scared because he was worried for Dylan, man. He was afraid he was gonna go down there. It was gonna be the bite of '87 all over again. Like he can't be having that. And so Ben's like, dude, I don't want you to risk anything. And Dylan looks at him like, Ben, I promise you, I am risking nothing by going into the basement. And so Ben looks at him, because Ben kind of wants like him to check anyways. He's like, all right, man, as long as you know what the risks are. So sure enough, right, Dylan opens up, the door to the basement, turns on the lights, starts walking down there, and he's like in the middle of like yelling up to Ben saying, hey, Ben, like, I mean, I can't see anything so far. As I said, Freddy Fazbear isn't real. And as he's like finishing that sentence, he hears like a scream from Ben. Ben upstairs is like, ah. At this point, right, Dylan genuinely thinks that something like terrible has happened. So like Dylan like runs up, assuming that there's like a robber or something. He's like, Ben, what's wrong? And he goes up there, and no one's there. Ben is gone. So at this point, right, Dylan's kind of scared because Ben just screamed and then disappeared. And he's kind of thinking in his head, like, did someone, like, break into the house and, like, capture him? And he's thinking, no, that can't be. That's too fast. Like, I was just down here for a minute. And, I mean, as soon as Ben screamed, within, like, 20 seconds, Dylan was, like, all the way upstairs. And he didn't see anyone. So Dylan's, like, looking around. He's like, oh, my God, what could have happened? And he looks at the kitchen door, because like, the basement was right above the kitchen. And in the kitchen, there's a door that led outside. And he turned around to the kitchen door. And sure enough, the kitchen door was wide open. He's like, shoot. So he runs out there. And he's like, Ben, where are you? And so he's kind of like, he goes outside, he's looking around, and he hears another faint, ah! He's like, okay, like, shoot, Ben, are you okay, Ben? And he starts, like, yelling out for Ben, and, Dylan is just kind of, like, running in the direction that he heard Ben, like, faintly scream. He's just like, oh, my God, like, he's thinking the worst right now. Dylan is legitimately thinking, all right, was he, like, captured? Was, like, what happened? Like, why, like, why me? I'm just like trying to babysit this kid as like a favor to like my mom's friend on a Friday night. I'm not trying to like chase down some kind of like burglar or kidnapper or something. That's just not what I'm trying to do today. You know what I mean? I'm just not trying to do that. And anyways, right, he starts like running down the street in the direction of Ben, and he hears Ben yell again, ah, kind of very faintly in the distance. He's like, Ben, I'm coming for you. At this point, right, Dylan is basically breaking out into a full sprint. And, like, thank God, like, Dylan is, like, a track athlete, because the average person babysitting him probably would not have been able to sustain a full-on sprint for that long, or would have been able to at least catch up with, Ben at this point. And, yeah, eventually, right, Miles is, like, running around. He's like, or not Miles, sorry, my bad. Dylan's like, oh my God, like, Ben, where's Ben? Where's this kid? Where'd he go? And then eventually, right, he sees Ben. He's like, Ben. And Ben is like several like miles away from, or probably about like a mile away from the house. He's like kind of like cuddled up, kind of like crouched up, fetus position, whatever, in like some random dude's yard. He's like, Ben, what happened? And Ben was kind of just all curled up, and, at this point, Dylan was like, Ben, what happened? Like, are you okay? And Ben looks up at him, and he explains why he ran away. Real quick, comment Freddy down below if you made it this far into the video. I'll be trying to dish out some hearts to people who comment Freddy down below as a way to say thank you. I can't get to them all, so maybe comment Freddy 2 or 3 times if you want a better shot of getting a heart. And anyways, back to the story. Anyways, right, Ben says, through like kind of like tears and kind of choking up a little bit, he's like, I know you're not going to believe me, but I actually saw Freddy. I saw Freddy. He was in the house. He was looking right at me. I'm sorry, Dylan. Like, I had to run. And at this point, Dylan is like in his head. He's like, dude, you cannot be serious, bro. I thought you were like captured. I thought someone came for you. I thought you were in serious danger. But Dylan didn't want to be mean to this kid. He obviously looked distraught. Like, Ben was pretty clearly not pulling a prank on him, not pulling a fast one. He genuinely thought this big, scary, like, monster animatronic was in the house after him, and he kind of felt a little bad. But he did say, Dylan was like to Ben, he's like, Ben, can't just be doing that. Like, I legitimately thought you got kidnapped. And Ben's like, dude, I know, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't mean for any of this, but I really saw him. So, Dylan sits there, kind of thinks about it for a second. He's like, Ben, we're going to go back to the house, and we're going to go through the entire house, you and me. We're not going to separate again. It's going to be you and me, and we're going to go through every square inch of the house, and I'm going to prove it to you that it's just in your imagination so that you can feel safe. Dylan's a good guy, right? Bro, a lot of people would be very mad. They would be mad at Ben. Like, they would just be like, I'm done with this kid. But Dylan, he's a stand-up guy. He's a good kid, right? Because he went out of his way to just, make sure that Ben was feeling safe. So, they walk back, and eventually they get back to the house. And Ben is just, like, looking at the door, like, all, like, nervous and scared or whatever. And, Dylan's like, don't worry about it, man. Come on in. And they walk into the house, and someone's actually sitting at the front table. And Dylan's like, hey, like, hello? And a guy turns around, and Dylan recognizes him as Ben's older brother. And Dylan's like, oh, man, I didn't know you were going to be here. And, Ben's older brother, who's like, I'd say, like, he's probably 12 at this point when, Ben is 9. Ben's older brother's like, yeah, sorry, I was upstairs playing video games earlier. Like, sorry I didn't come down earlier. And, Dylan was like, all right, that's fine. That's okay. Like, just know I'm here till, your parents come back, and I'll be putting you to bed, and, whatever, right? Ben's older brother's like, all right, like, sorry I didn't say anything earlier. Dylan didn't think much of it until, they went upstairs, and Dylan saw what Ben saw. When Dylan and Ben were going around, like, scavenging, like, every square inch of the house to make sure that Freddy Fazbear wasn't actually in there, right? They eventually got to Ben and Ben's older brother's room, and they went around, and Ben was like, because they went in there, Dylan's like, all right, no one's in here, and Ben's like, check the closet, because, like, the monsters always hide in the closet, man. That's just, like, that's a simple fact we all know. So, Ben, Dylan's like, all right, fine, whatever. Dylan opens up the closet, and is taken aback because what he sees in there is like a papier-mâché Freddy Fazbear costume. At first, he jumps a little bit because it low-key looks like the real deal. And even though he knew for a fact that, Freddy Fazbear is not actually real, right? He doesn't actually exist. He jumped for a sec because that was the last thing he was expecting to see when he opened that up. He's like, geez, like, what's this? Whatever. He goes in and he kind of like, he looks in the closet and Ben's like, is there anything in there? And, Dylan's like, nope, nothing's in there. But he kind of like, Dylan goes in and like, kind of like looks at the costume and realizes that it's a costume in the closet that Ben's older brother uses. And then he realizes, and he's like, wait a minute, Ben, what did you exactly see? And Ben like started to get nervous again and tear up a little bit. He's like, I saw this big Freddy. He was standing in the staircase and he was just looking at me. And at this point, Dylan was like, Dylan put 2 and 2 together and realized that Ben's older brother was playing a prank on Ben and almost got him in a lot of danger, to be honest. So, sure enough, eventually time goes by and it's time for them to it's time for Dylan to put them to bed. And they go to bed. Dylan's just kind of sitting there waiting for Ben's mom to return. And when Ben's mom returns, Dylan explains what happens and then also explains what he found in Dylan's older brother's closet. And let's just say that Dylan's older brother got quite a talking to. Subscribe if you haven't already. Drop a like on the video and then click on one of the 4 videos on screen right now to support the channel. Peace.